seconds before kick-off. Welcoming you to NRL Friday on ABC Sport, where you join us firstly in Melbourne for the Storm up against the Newcastle Knights with me, Brett Sprigg, alongside Ryan Hoffman and Ian Cohen. And later on in Canberra, the Raiders take on the Roosters, and you'll hear that with Andrew Moore, Alan Tongue and John Gibbs. You can text us, as always, 0467 920 222, right across this King's birthday long weekend. But first things first, the Knights will kick off, and the Storm to have first use running left to right here at Amy Park in Melbourne. Referees Ashley Klein, our touch officials are Daniel Luttringer and Tyson Bro, and Chris Butler is in the bunker. Kick-off, we're underway. NRL Friday on ABC Sport, and the Newcastle Knights swab on that defence, 12 out from that northern line. And it's played there by Stefano Utoikamanu. I mentioned, of course, he lost his place in the New South Wales side. One of those guys who regained his place is Jacob Safidi, who makes the tackle as well. Midway through this opening set of the game, through centre field they go here, the Melbourne Storm. Newcastle are 1-19, and the Storm here with Munster playing it. 30 out from his own line, 20 in from the eastern side. Now Cooper Clark gains a quick half a dozen. At dummy half, it's shared wide from Harry Grant to the right-hand side, and now 5 short of the halfway. Tackled ball and all and playing at Trent Liero. Munster will end the set with a high left foot kick down towards Kalen Ponga, and he takes it 10 metres out from his own line. Newcastle's first set of the game. Their team is this: fullback and captain Kalen Ponga, wingers Dom Young and Greg Marju, centres Dane Gagai and Fletcher Hunt, 5'8" Fletcher Sharp, halfback Dylan Brown, lock Matt Croker, back rowers Dylan Lucas, fresh off his contract extension, and Jermaine McEwen, and the props Jacob Safidi and Trey Mooney. Hooker is Phoenix Crossland. The bench is Harrison Graham, Tyson Brazil, Pasami Solo, Thomas Kent, Kenny Hopwood and Francis Manu Leilaula. The 8 wins, 4 losses Newcastle Knights are coached by Justin Holbrook. Here is Safidi, play it for Crossland, comes to his right for Croker. On in turn here, Brown, who was good last week against his old side, the Eels, and the Newcastle Knights are 40 out from Melbourne's line. Their first attacking foray of the game, and Dylan Brown's kick goes up in the air, and there is the opposing fullback, Sua Falongo. He was brilliant last week against the Roosters, the win at home, and he's tackled 20 out from his own line. He is their fullback. The wingers are Will Warbrick and Moses Leo, centres Benaya Waitera and Joe Chan, the late in for Jack Howarth. 5'8" Cam Munster, halfback Jerome Hughes, lock Trent Liero, second row was Cooper Clark and Atu Lasati, props Utoikamanu and King, hooker Harry Grant, bench Tolau, McDonald, Hetherington, Bahulu, potentially for a club debut for the Storm, Tumatu Brown and Sean Blore back from a head knock as well. No score inside the first 2.5 minutes, Amy Park in Melbourne. Josh King, a former Knight, will play it, comes across now for Jerome Hughes, and now Munster shapes it left-hand side, the run there, Farlongo brought down, and he's tackled by Gagai, 5 short of the halfway, 10 in from the eastern side. Munster open side right to Hughes, and he will drill his kick downfield here for Ponga. Welcome again, Ryan Hoffman.
Yeah, strong start by both teams as Kalen Ponga brings the ball back to the Melbourne Storm defence. The first kick the Melbourne Storm had, Kalen Ponga tucked it under his wing and ran hard and straight into the Storm defence. So great intent from him. For the Melbourne Storm, their attack has been quite expansive their first 2 sets, really swinging the ball right wide. I think they sense some vulnerability on the Newcastle edges.
Crossland finds Dom Young. Englishman's tackled now, metre short of the halfway. Play it there for Crossland. And now another strong run here from Trey Mooney. And he targets that Melbourne defensive line. 40 out centre field. Comes back to Croker, first receiver. Shed wide here, Fletcher Sharp. Onto the edge he goes now for Fletcher Hunt. And he's brought down desperate defence there from Will Warbrick. He'll play it 30 out. Last play Newcastle. Up goes the kick from Ponga to end the set. Falongo calls mine. Goes up in the air, brings it down comfortably. And they'll start their next set, the Storm, 8 metres out from their own line at Northern End. It's still no score here. Touchline we go. Welcome, Ian Cohen.
Yes, hello, Spriggy. Hello, everyone. And it's a terrific night in Melbourne. Conditions are pretty still at the moment, and the ground has been pretty dry. A lot of rain yesterday. They might be called the Knights, but they don't play a lot at night time, so this might be a test for the team from Newcastle. A crowd of around 12,000. The early matches don't see big crowds traditionally in Melbourne.
Newcastle, I mentioned earlier, the Storm are currently winless on Friday nights this year. So from 5 games, no wins in either Friday time slot. And now it's come back here for Cooper Clark. He backs his way into Crossland and also McEwen. Now played 40 out from his own line. Munster, across he goes for Chan. Little deft kick down the sideline there. Munster went head on there with Kalen Ponga. and it will be lost ball, Kalen Ponga. So the Storm forced the error, and they'll have it 30 out from Newcastle's line.
Yeah, really good play for the Melbourne Storm, running it on the 5th tackle. Last week, Moses Leo got the ball down the edges and didn't execute his kick. He did that time, put it under pressure for Kalen Ponga. Cameron Muster coming through, forces the error. Melbourne Storm get the first opportunity inside the Knights' end.
Go Storm, says Dave in Nowra, 0467 920 222. Jeff and Emma on our way back home from dropping off some horses. 2 hours to go. Love listening to you guys. Good on you. Great to hear from all of you. As I mentioned, Canberra v the Roosters with Andrew Moore, Alan Tung and John Gibbs later on. They come left-hand side of the scrum. Falongo brought down with a veteran Gagai. And a bit of afters there as well, as Ash Klein does get a whistle on play. But there was a player out cold in back player. Is it Fletcher Hunt or was it Crossland who's down there? Crossland on his back on the Storm 30-metre line, and he is not looking too good at all.
He has not moved.
So trainers get to him, Phoenix Crossland, and I didn't see it necessarily live in play as that ball came wide of the scrum, but Crossland is on his back and now being assessed on field.
He ran into Joe Chan. They weren't looking at each other, and Phoenix Crossland ran into Chan, or Chan ran into Crossland, hit with his shoulder on the head, and he was out.
So he's been looked at here by the trainers and Ash Klein. That is most concerning. We would have to assume at this early stage he will take no further part in tonight's game, the Newcastle Knights starting hooker.
Yeah, he just collected his shoulder right on the point of his chin, and he was out cold. And this is going to create some problems for Justin Holbrook, because he's been such a steady player for them in the middle of the park.
Harrison Graham's been good.
He has been
off the bench, opportunities he's had.
He has been, but what Phoenix Crossland does is takes the sting out of the game. He really does. He takes the sting out of the game to allow Harrison Graham to do what he does best, and that's be really strong in attack.
So the Medicab's heading out there now for Phoenix Crossland, and he's just beginning up very, very slowly and just moving there in the hands of the trainers. The two playing groups have circled up there to have a little chat. There was nothing in it really. It was just the fact he ran into the back of Joe Chan and is all the worse for it.
Yeah, I don't think neither of them were looking at each other. It's just one of those unfortunate collisions.
Mardo in Biwa says, how many visible Newcastle fans are there tonight? But you can't really see them. Well, there's a pocket of fans over there in that southeastern corner. You see them more when you're coming to the ground. Yeah. They sort of stand out more when they're in the sea of purple. It's hard to spot them, especially in red and blue.
I am seeing, looking over there, looking at that little corner, I'm seeing a couple of Roosters jerseys too, so I don't know if they got the week wrong.
Yeah, a week late. Storm winners here last week. So the stretcher's coming out there for Phoenix Crossland, and he's still, he is moving, which is certainly at least something, but he is certainly worse for wear after that little collision with Joe Chan. And he'll be coming from the field here. Around the grounds, by the way, Super Rugby finals, the Hurricanes 38 lead the ACT Brumbies 7, and the AFL game happening here tonight across the way there at the MCG is Hawthorn and the Western Bulldogs. So that's all still to come. As we see, Phoenix Crossland helped up here onto the Medicab, and he will be coming from the field after only 5 minutes of play.
Yeah.
So he's one of 7 players who's played every game for the Newcastle Knights this year. That may certainly change now. We'll have to buy next week, actually. So that's I guess, as far as concussion protocols is somewhat convenient. But he is okay. It's just that he will not be taking any further part in this game as they sort of stabilise Phoenix Crossland here on that stretcher. You'd imagine he may miss some footy here, the Kiwi international. Let's head to the touchline. Ian Cohen.
You've talked a bit about the fullbacks. I'm also looking forward to the wingers. Dom Young has scored 5 tries in the last 5 games against Melbourne Storm, and Moses Leo has really surged into contention as first and foremost winger for Melbourne Storm. He scored 5 tries in the last 3 games. So Moses Leo is certainly lighting it up, and I think obviously we know the athleticism of Dom Young as well. So I'm expecting the fullbacks to have a big save, but I reckon the wingers are also going to have a big save.
Get back underway here very shortly. The players are just doing a few run-throughs to stay warm as Newcastle's Phoenix Crossland goes back on the Medicab. So that'll be a significant delay of the game in just the 25th minute of proceedings. As Crossland makes his way off, and Jerome Hughes just gives him a little pat there to encourage him and wish him all the best.
Kiwi teammates,
of course, yeah. So
it's going to be good to see Harrison Graham get a lot of football here. He's going to get to play 75 minutes. He's been impressive with his only new into his NRL career. Very sharp around the ruck, which can bother the Melbourne Storm forwards.
Do you know a bit of Harrison Graham trivia? Do you know he was the Dolphins' very first signing?
Really?
Yeah. So Felice Kafusi was their first marquee signing. He was their first train and trial, their first development contract. He was the Dolphins' officially first ever signed player, Harrison Graham.
Mr. Dolphin.
Yeah. So anyway, now he's at Newcastle Knights. He's playing an important role. Will certainly play a key role here tonight in the absence of Phoenix Crossland.
Is his nickname Flipper?
Maybe.
I'm gonna.
He scored a try against Para last week, Harrison Graham.
I'm gonna call Danny Badiris, who works at the Knights, and say, mate, I've got a nickname for you.
25 out from Newcastle's line here. The Melbourne Storm will get played back underway. It's no score here. You're with Brett Sprigg alongside Ron Hoffman and Ian Cohen. This is NRL Friday on ABC Sport. As Phoenix Crossland makes his way down into the tunnel on the Medicab. So we'll pick up him when we can. As Grant at dummy half shares it with Munster. Back underway here. And the run from Big Stefano. And Toikamano is tackled 25 out centre field. Grant sets up the dummy half. Comes to his right-hand side for King. Wide to Hughes. Inside ball now for Tavalu Lasati. And he's collected. 13 out, right-hand side of the sticks. On play 3 here for the Storm. Hughes delays the pass here for Toikamano. And he slammed the turf down there by McEwen, and will now play it 6 metres out, left-hand side of the uprights. Grant looks left but comes right, back to Jerome Hughes. And here again for Waitete. Skipped to the defensive line, brought down there by Fletcher Sharp. He'll play it now, 7 out, right-hand side of the post. Last play of Melbourne, no score in the game so far. As Jerome Hughes off a step, kicks wide for the corner, up goes Warbrick! Tapped here, back now for Fletcher Sharp. And in the end goal will be a line drop out Newcastle. So no score after 6 minutes here at Amy Park on ABC Sport. Ryan Hoffman.
Yeah, I was impressed by that first set inside the Knights red zone for the Melbourne Storm. Last week, I reckon they just went sideline to sideline, didn't really go anywhere, but they were quite direct with some strong ones by Utoi Kamanu and also Lasati.
Ants from Levine, listening across the ditch. Thank you for your text as always, Ants. Just happy King's birthday. It's also Queensland Day tomorrow, so that's why they've got the big derby and all the Queensland teams play each other. Broncos Titans the highlight tomorrow night. Short drop out here. Dom Young flies. Joe Chan plucks it away here for the Storm. So a full set now for the home side. 20 out from Newcastle's line. So look to find the first points of the game. Chan will play it. 17 out. Grant open side right to Munster, and now Liero goes pressing into Safiti and also Dylan Lucas. And he'll play it now. 7 out in front of the upright southern end. Grant in the headgear. Fires it across left-hand side. And now Cooper Clark receives the inside ball. Charging into 3 Newcastle defenders who'll play it now. 3 metres out left-hand side. As again, Grant directs it right-hand side. Liero to Hughes. On to Falongo. Pass went wide here for Waitete. Still going. Brought down from behind by Fletcher Sharp. He'll play it out 5 out from Newcastle's line. Grant back across to Jerome Hughes. And now Josh King straightening run here toward the uprights. And he's standing there in a 3-man tackle. Last play Storm. 4 out from Newcastle's line. Utoi Kamanu first receiver. Hitting, spinning and try scoring. Melbourne's in first. 4-0 kick to come Storm. Last 7 minutes here at Amy Park. NRL Friday on ABC Sport. Ryan Hoffman.
That's what the Melbourne Storm have been missing. Hard, strong running at inside shoulders. Utoi Kamanu, 5th tackle, close to the line. That's his job. Put himself there. Ran hard at the Knights, right at the post. It's always a dangerous spot to defend when you're that close to the try line. Great work by the Melbourne Storm. There were some good hands earlier on in that set for Suafalongo getting the ball out to Waitete on the edge. I thought he could have gone to Will Warbrick, but he took the right tackle, got down, played the ball. Melbourne Storm scored 2 plays later.
Touchline we go, Ian Cohen.
Yeah, just confirmation on Felix Crossland as well. It is a Category 1, so he's done. But the good news is he's got feeling in all of his limbs, and it is precautionary in being taken off for the Medicab, but it is a Category 1.
On your Koza, and it's bad news for the Newcastle Knights, which we all suspected. So, Suafalongo, who, by the way, kicked 3 out of 5 last weekend. The win against the Roosters. Lining up the kick here. Very slight angle left-hand side, only 10 metres out. Get to your text shortly. 0467 920 222. Someone here passed up a free ticket for the AFL to stay home and listen to you boys and have a few sports drinks. Have a good call, go Storm, says one correspondent. Here is Silfa Longo. Said 3 out of 5 last week. Let's make it a 6-0 Melbourne Storm scoreline here, early stages on this Friday night at Amy Park. Hush falls over the ground. As in he comes and makes no mistake. Melbourne 6, Newcastle 0. 8.5 minutes played here in the opening half. NRL Friday on ABC Sport. A few more of those texts that came through. Gear Stewart from Kalinga. Don't read out the Storms. Friday night stats again. Sorry, Gear Stewart. Go the mighty Storm. Enjoying the coverage while having a few. He's named the sports drink here. Stephen Adelaide. I can't mention the brand, but he's having a whiskey actually. Good on you, Steve. Very convenient and very Storm, says one person. What does that mean? You can keep your text coming. Love the call, go Storm, says Jeff from Waganya. Newcastle kick off and the Storm bring it back. The first set after points in this game. The Storm does lead 6-0. We're off to the Raiders and Roosters at Canberra Stadium with Andrew Moore, Alan Tung and John Gibbs later on as well. Coming half, Grant, Liero, and here is Cooper Clark, of course, a young fella. Debuted in round 2, still just 19 years of age. Hasn't missed a game since his debut. And they bring it away through centre field. Harrison Graham makes the tackle in concert with Mooney on Liero. And the Storm rumble upfield here on play 4. Josh King will play at 40 out from his own line. Grant across to Munster. Inside ball again for Joe Chan. In the side for Jack Howarth, who was ruled out last night with a quad contusion. Last play Storm, Jerome Hughes just belts his kick downfield. Dom Young facing his own goal line. Back with the flight does well. Swings the pass across for his fullback and captain Ponga. Liero slipped over in back play. Meanwhile, Ponga gets over the 20-metre line here before he's tackled by King. Newcastle on the attack. They trail 6-0 here at Amy Park on ABC Sport. You're with Brett Sprigg, Ryan Hoffman and Ian Cohen for the first of our 2 Friday night games. Pass is pushed down here by Marzu. And again, there's some dash here for the Newcastle Knights and Fletcher Sharp. Tackled here by Hughes and Grant, 40 out from his own line. At dummy half, Fletcher Hunt. That always gets me, the 2 Fletchers. 5 short of the halfway. And tackled ball and all down there is Dylan Lucas. Open side right they come. Croker. Share it with Brown. Ponga tips wide for Young in open space. Chan chasing him. Young collared by Chan and Farlongo 15 out. Great desperate chase and tackle from the Storm defence. And we'll play it here second last for the Newcastle Knights. They trail 6-0 early on. Croker. It comes to him. Hot footwork there away from Cooper Clark. Pops out the offload back here now for Harrison Graham, and he's taken down by Grant. He offloads back to Safiti, so it's still the second last play here for the Knights. Safiti is 10 out directly in front of goal at that north end of the ground. Graham dummy half. Off to Sharp. Ponga. Tip wide there for Hunt, and now Marju. The tip on was left wanting, and it goes out over the western touchline. It remains Melbourne 6, Newcastle 0 after 10.5 minutes.
Some very ominous moments from Kalen Ponga that the Melbourne Storm nearly be aware of. Some great hands there, first of all, to send Dom Young away down the sideline, and then very nearly got the pass on again. Nice little tip on to Fletcher Hunt, who just could not execute the pass to Greg Marju. What I love about Kalen Ponga, when he gets out the back of a play, he plays with great tempo, forces the defence to come to him, and then he just draws and passes.
They've combined for 29 tries across the year so far, Dom Young and Greg Marju, so we saw examples of how they create that attacking opportunity, the Newcastle Knights, but alas, the Storm still lead here 6-0. Watete tackled, plays it now. Grant off to his left-hand side for Liero, and he's enveloped there by 3 Newcastle defenders. Mooney was in there first. 40 out as Grant comes open side right. Early kick from Hughes on the second last play, and will bounce for a 40-20. It bounced at right angles. Ponga's just for touchy here, and in fact it's successful. So despite Ponga's protest, it will be Melbourne's ball, 20 out from Newcastle's line.
Yeah, he's done this a few times this year, Jerome Hughes. He doesn't hold it like a traditional banana kick, but he just lets it drift to the right to use the bend just to get it out to the sideline. Great kick.
Set for Melbourne, 20 out from Newcastle's line. King brought down 15 out against his old side. as Grant Taliero. Tokomano scored the first only try of the game so far. Almost brought back there. Meters out from that southern line. Grant, open side left here. Hughes to Munster. They've shifted left again. They shift the numbers and Falongo brought down. Great chase and tackle again, this time by Dylan Brown. A burrow from dummy half on that edge. And over and scoring. Is it Joe Chan in there who's done that?
I think he's held up.
He might just be held up, and he's going to be forced back here with a couple of tackles left in this set. So inventive thinking there from Joe Chan, but Newcastle's defence was all over him.
Yeah, it certainly was. I tell you, it was an absolute cracker of a tackle by Dylan Brown. A real bootlace grass cutter to knock down Su'a Longo, because I tell you, he was looking like he was in for all money.
So they'll just sort of
that's
go
a bit close.
through the...
He's held up.
Chris Butler in the bucket's having a look at this just to make sure there's no actual grounding. I don't think the Storm seemed too perturbed.
It was closer than what I thought, though.
13 going first half. Melbourne 6, Newcastle 0 here on NRL Friday on ABC Sport with me, Brett Sprigg, Ryan Hoffman, Ian Cohen. Yes,
but we all know it doesn't matter what the referee sends it up.
Wow, what did see, especially with Ash Klein. Anyway, I'll look at this because we haven't had a long enough delay as it was.
All the players are set up ready to play. It's just the bunker that can't make a decision.
I think we're okay, aren't we? The Storm don't really seem to care.
They've got the deepest backline shift set up that you've ever seen in rugby league.
Yeah, Will Warbrick's all the way to the halfway line. Supports on for decision. On your Bucky. So, it remains Melbourne 6, Newcastle. He also mentions Wano Tokomano, the try scorer. So, Joe Chan will play it. 10 metres out from that Knights line, southern end of the ground in front of the, what is that stand called? That's not unnamed. It's the Ryan Hoffman stand. No. Yeah. Open side right, Munster, 15 out. Sherwood Liero, back on the inside. Tokomano, storming run here into about 3 Newcastle defenders. He's 10 out, dead centre. Last play, Storm. Grant looks right, comes left. Munster off the instep, chasing it. Cooper Clark was beaten there by Ponga, and Ponga is grounded. Newcastle line dropout again. It remains Melbourne 6, Knights 0. 13 gone first half.
Yeah, perfect kick there from Cameron Munster, looking for his big back row, steaming through. He got away from Cooper Clark, Kalen Pong, but he couldn't get away from Joe Chan, and he did a good job following through.
A few of our listeners up north have reminded me that the biggest game tomorrow in the Queensland teams, so all 4 of them play each other. Maybe Cowboys Dolphins is a bit bigger, given they're both top 8. I'm selfish because I'm a big fly there for Moses Leo. I'm actually calling the Broncos Titans, so I'm looking forward to that one, but you're right. It'll be quite big, that game in Townsville. Dummy half Grant, off to Cooper Clark, and Cooper Clark, good post contact gain here. He's 7 out, left-hand side of the post. Only on play 3 here for the Storm. 6-0 their lead early on at Amy Park. Munster, little show and go. Wide to Hughes, to Falongo for the corner again, and Warbrick, lost it as Ponga came across. Picked up by Margie. The Knights are away, are they? And then Lucas brought down by Waitere, and he'll play at 25 out. That was almost a try there for Will Warbrick, and Callum Ponga came across in desperate defence. Meanwhile, can't take your eyes off Fletcher Hunt, who darts across the defensive line here, 30 out from his own line. It remains Melbourne 6, Newcastle 0. Graham dummy half. Off to his blindside right there for Jermaine McEwen. Platt now again, Graham 40 out. 12 short of halfway. And Croker is tackled still just inside his own Newcastle Knights half. Brown, angled run. Shares it low with Fletcher Hunt. Comes here, back on the inside. He tries to dart back there on Waikato. And he's got 40 out, 10 in western side. From dummy half, Fletcher Sharp. Back here again for Safiti. It's last play Newcastle. 35 out centre field. Graham on to Brown. Kicks high and long for that northeastern corner of the ground. Young goes up, bats it back. It'll bounce there away from Clark. Croker was lurking, but so was Falongo, and the Storm get possession back, Ryan Hoffman.
Look, we just saw a hell of a play for Newcastle, get the ball down the other end, but it was a play from Kalen Ponga. Will Warbrick was scoring for all money, and Kalen Ponga hit him with absolutely everything. I don't care if he did have his shoulder tucked that time, because that was a hell of a play by Kalen Ponga.
Nothing to worry about there for Kalen Ponga that time. So 6-0 now. It's been lost by Warbrick again. Picked up by Newcastle. 15 out from that northern line. So it's pounced on by Harrison Graham. They'll now play. It's going to be a set restart Newcastle. They trail 6-0. Sharp to Brown. On to Hunt for the corner again. In fact, he dummies the pass for Margie. He almost goes himself. Stopped there by Cooper Clark. And they will play it. 5 out deep in that left corner of the ground. Open side right for Brown. So they got the set restart. It's a full set here for the Newcastle Knights as Mooney succumbs. 19 out from that northern line. Melbourne defending, Newcastle on the attack. Graham to Brown, back on the inside now for Ponga. Safiti almost spilled it. Lays out the pass here for Fletcher Sharp, who goes in to score behind the posts. Newcastle does hit back, and it all starts down there, Ryan Hoffman, with that big hit from Ponga on Warbrick. Newcastle go upfield and score. It's 6-4 kick to come Knights after 17 minutes at Amy Park.
Yeah, Kalyn Ponga's got his fingerprints all over this game of football. As he said, Spriggy, he started it with that try-saving effort down there on the opposite end of the field, stopping Will Warbrick from scoring the try. Then it was another Will Warbrick error, a simple drop, which gave the Newcastle Knights more time in the Melbourne Storm area. And then Kalyn Ponga again gets the ball back, brings it back to the middle, gets a one-on-one, beautiful pass to Safiti, who gets another good one onto one of the Fletchers. Which one was it? I can't tell. They both got the same head.
Fletcher Sharp scored the try.
Fletcher Sharp scoring the try, sorry, but that's good rugby league, Newcastle Knights, both sides of the football.
Back to the touchline, Ian Cohen.
There's a few Mississippi mud flaps going around between all those Fletchers. I tell you, Ryan Pappenhausen sort of style. For Fletcher Sharp, obviously, great try there, and Kalyn Ponga all over it. But more importantly, that far stand, that's a Cameron Smith stand for you, Spriggy, and the one to the left is the Billy Slater stand.
Yeah, no, that's the east one, the Cameron Smith stand.
Yeah.
The south one I'm talking about, that's got no name.
Oh, the south one's got no name.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Oh, okay, apologies to you, but maybe it's the Brett Spriggs stand.
No, I don't think it's that. Here's Kalyn Ponga, 15 out, slot angle left of centre to make it a 6-all scoreline here after 18 minutes. Recent 150 gamer. Back into Origin camp, you imagine. The squads are announced on Monday for Queensland. And the left foot kicker makes no mistake. So it's Melbourne 6, Newcastle 6, NRL Friday on ABC Sport. And your texts are welcome, or 6792022. There's an Ian Cohen stand suggestion as well. So I think we've covered ourselves here, which is great. We have a bloke in the fire brigade we call Dolphin. Absolutely brilliant, but can't communicate with humans. Back on the Central Coast, stuck in the M1 traffic. Ian in Brisbane says, serves you right, Knights. Short goal dropout to score. Yeah, fans hate short dropouts. Sometimes they're pretty effective though.
So they love them when you get it back.
Tamati in Scott's head says, about to crank up to 5 on my birthday, listening to the best in the business. 56 years young. Cheers, Spriggy. Thank you, Tamati. Happy birthday to you. And the Storm kick off quite deep here into that Newcastle in goal. And it's brought back by Trey Mooney, two-time Morty All-Star, and of course former Canberra Raider, play at 10 out from his own line. Marju charging, gains about 7 metres here for the Newcastle Knights. Scores level, tries to Yatoi Kamanu and Sharp in this game so far. Phoenix Crossland off with a Category 1 concussion. It was a big hit. It was incidental. He just ran to the back of Joe Chan, but he was down for a while. And help from the field via the minicap. Here is Matt Croker, and he gains a quick 10 here. Graham from dummy half on second last play shares it with Jacob Safiti, who was unused on the New South Wales bench in game 1. Brown kicks a wobbly ball down the outer sideline here, taken by Farlongo, and he skips into Jermaine McEwen, and also out there Gagai at 25 out from that northern line. Storm on the attack here, 19 gone, 21 left in this first half. NRL Friday on ABC Sport with Brett Sprigg, Ryan Hoffman and Ian Cohen. Of course, off to Raiders Roosters next, which we'll preview at half-time. We're going to be a set restart Melbourne, their first of the game. So a set restart apiece, and we saw Newcastle's result all occur during that last try-scoring play. Try to Fletcher Sharp. Storm here on halfway. Grant goes himself from dummy half, gains a dozen. Brought down by Graham, and he steps over Trey Mooney. Comes wide to Liero, and now Hughes on in turn to Lasati, and he's nailed 25 out, 20 in from the western side. Grant off to Josh King. No one's covering him, so he gains a quick 13 metres pretty easily. He'll play it now 15 outs in the field. Grant off the deck with one hand, little kick, quite deft, little too deft in fact, as Ponga fields it, and Newcastle get the ball back at the halfway point of the opening 40, and now Tukamano was a little overzealous as well, trying to just sort of get into the Brill and Ponga and Dom Young on their second carry of the Newcastle set is only 12 out from his own line. Here's Gagai, gets away from Munster. Munster tries again, and Gagai will play at 20 out from his own line. Graham, who of course is out there for Phoenix Crossland, comes open side left to Greg Marju, and the man who's scored 15 tries this year, equal second try scorer in the competition behind Tom Jenkins, will play it. Comes on quickly here to the left-hand side. And again now for Dylan Lucas, fresh off his extension of his contract at Newcastle. Ponga will kick on that last play down to the wing, which is where the fullback Falongo is stationed. Plenty of space for him to move, but he's run down there by Fletcher Hunt. And Sil Falongo will play at 30 out from his own line. Dummy half Warbrick, open side left here for the Melbourne Storm. It's 6-all the scoreline here, 19 left first half off.
Yeah, 19 minutes to go. It's been a really good start by both teams. This is shaping up to a very, very good football game as we see Moses Leo high-stepping through the middle of the field. It'd be interesting to see what the Melbourne Storm are going to do with Sean Bloor, because they like...
You see Manu, took on Fletcher sharp, and he'll play it through the outside. Going about 20 there from Yutuka Manu. Grant dummy half. They catch the thread snapping as it's fed back from Hughes to Falongo. Skipped over that player who was primed there in Croker. And now Grant back to Munster, hits and spins, not quite there. Pops out the offload. Loose ball pounced on by Grant. Knocked on maybe by Falongo. Ash Klein saying it was Newcastle knock on first. He was saying it was a foot of Falongo. Newcastle knock on. So Melbourne feed here. 10 out from Newcastle's line. Scoreline still 6-all. Ian Cohen touchline.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on Harry Grant. He's got more issues than the early settlers at the moment because he's holding his thigh, he's holding his ankle, he got hit in the midriff. He's really, really looking very banged up out there.
Listening on the train and hoping for a Storm win. Looking forward to seeing Sua Falongo and Manaia Watere and Stefano Yutoikamanu and Atalo Lasardi and Yesiah Pahulu and Siulangi Tuamalatu Brown in action tonight, says Mardo. Good on you, Mardo.
Who did he name?
Well, he's named quite a few and all the longest ones in there.
I think he knew what he was
fantastic. All very good play. We might see Yesiah Pahulu, of course, former Gold Coast Titan, make his club debut off the bench. He's in that 19-man squad with the Storm. Grant, the base of the scrum, shares it with Falongo. Again, he skips away and Hunt gets around his legs. 7 metres out, right-hand side of the uprights. Dummy half Warbrick onto Grant. Only on play 2 here. And Lasati carries the footy into the waiting Newcastle defence. Grant from dummy half. Open side left again for Hughes. Back on the inside. Liero thought he saw the gap there, but it closed quickly. And he'll now play it 5 metres away from that southern goal line now, in front of the unnamed grandstand. Certainly been used. Falongo off here to Waitete, charging into 1-2 and grounding. Manaia Waitete scores a try. And the Storm hit back to lead 10-6. Kick to come here at Annie Park. NRL Friday on ABC Sport. 17 left first half. Storm 10 at Newcastle 6. Ryan Hoffman.
I think Sua Falongo is getting paid by the touch tonight because he is absolutely everywhere. He is backing up play after play, getting himself involved, especially inside the Knights 20 metres. That was great strength by Manaia Waitete. That was pure strength. He just bumped off his opposite number close to line and got down low close. It's become errors. Teams are scoring off the back of errors. Newcastle error, Melbourne Storm try, Melbourne Storm error, Newcastle scored. Where the team that settles down first, they're going to be the team that wins this game.
He started now in 4 of his 7 games this year. Manaia Waitete, he scores his second try of the campaign to go back to the touchline. Ian Cohen.
Yeah, he certainly does, and he's looming as a real prospect, no doubt about that. 6 of the jersey flag players have all come through and debuted this season as well. So Craig Bellamy bringing that next crop through. Just an update too on Felix Crossland. He has been sent to hospital as a precaution, going to hospital, but apparently does have feelings in his limbs.
Great stuff. Thank you, Koza. 20 out, 10 in from the western side, right in front of Koza actually. The kick will come from Sua Falongo.
I think the biggest change for the kicking with the Melbourne Storm is the ball boy, Charlie Hinchcliffe, Ryan Hinchcliffe's young bloke, because he's had to learn a new routine. He had Nick Mendy's routine down pat, now he's learning Sua's.
So, here is Falongo. 1 from 1 so far tonight. From a slightly more angled vantage point. starts it to the left and it stays there. So 1 from 2 and it remains Melbourne 10 and Newcastle Knights 6 with 15 and a half left in this first half. Loving the call, cracking game. Surely Ponga in trouble for another shoulder charge on Warwick, says Jason in Crow's Nest. He doesn't seem to think so, don't he?
Look, there's a shoulder charge and there's just throwing your body at it to try and stop someone from scoring. I'm never going to begrudge someone's trying to stop someone from scoring a try.
Hey, Spriggy, hoping the Green Machine will get the win over the Red, White and Blue, says Alan in Long Jetty. Good on you, Alan, for that. And getting some more of those texts as well. Around the grounds, by the way, Super Rugby, it's the Hurricanes 52, the Brumbies 12 in that final. So that's going to end up looking not so good for the ACT Brumbies. Storm back on the attack here from the kickoff. And Grant will share it in close with Utoika Manu. Play on his own 20-metre line. Grant takes off a dummy half. Mooney grabbed him. He's arguing when he was offside, shouldn't have tackled him, but ref didn't seem to care too much. Dummy half Falongo off to Cooper Clark, and there's a wall of those, speaking of red, white and blue, the Newcastle away strip tonight, tackling him. Grant has it with Munster, onto Joe Chan, spins off one Gagai tackle, now he's put down by Safidi, play at 5 inside Newcastle territory, 14 and a half left in this first half on ABC Sport. The kick to end the set goes high for Kalen Ponga, take it 12 out from his own line, gets away from one would-be tackler, but good second effort there from the back rower Lasaki to stop the Newcastle captain. At dummy half, Fletcher Sharp. He's scored the only try so far in this game. Fletcher Sharp after 16 minutes. That's the Storm 10, Newcastle 6 here on ABC Sport. Here is Dom Young on a 10-metre run now for the Englishman. 35 out from his own line. Still a couple of plays left in this set for the Newcastle Knights. Off the bench is Tyson Frizzell. 22nd NRL game for him, Tyson Frizzell. Harrison Graham off to Brown, and now to Gagai. Flick pass out wide, hit the Young on the wing. In some space, he kicks centre field, chasing it there is Grant, and almost there, Brown almost got there first. Harry Grant was not the fastest of those players. He had Dylan Brown and Fletcher Sharp both chasing that ball. Alas, I don't fancy there was a grounding there from Dylan Brown, so it will come back here for a Storm likely a dropout, or it will be maybe knocked on by...
I think they're trying to work out who the ball comes. It was an unbelievable effort by Harry Grant. He had no right to be there.
Especially with those guys chasing him. So Brown was chasing it. Grant, in the end... So that will be a Melbourne Storm line dropout. Harry Grant 50 left and a half.
I just saying sorry if Dylan Brown got a touch to it after Harry Grant did. But that's, I tell you what, you look up great plays in the dictionary. Harry Grant rushing to get back. There's a picture of that.
So I don't think Dylan Brown does get anything constituting a rounding. No. So it will be a line drop. No, hang on, no. They're saying it was
last touch off Dylan Brown.
So that's why it's a 7-tackle restart. From the front line here for the Melbourne Storm. So you don't get 7 tackles anymore. It's just 6, isn't it?
Active trying to score a try.
So there we go. So it's a 6-tackle set. They restart from 20 here for the Melbourne Storm. 30 out from that northern line. Falongo off to Alec McDonald. So he's off the bench as well for the Melbourne Storm. We've made some interchanges so far. And Phoenix Costlanders and Cohen reported is off to hospital as a precaution for his Category 1 concussion. 40 out here to Storm from their own line. Through hands Liero to Munster and now Cooper Clark. He took on the tackle there of Jermaine McEwen. Play it made it short of the halfway. Grant off here McDonald and he hits and spins. 40 out, 20 in from the eastern side. On last play here for the Storm as it comes a flat ball to Munster. Back to Hughes. Couple of steps and a kick. Down there for the corner. Marju is all by himself down there for the Newcastle Knights. They go back on the attack and he's 20 out from his own line. It's still Melbourne 10, Newcastle 6. 13 left in the first half here on ABC Sport.
I'm surprised the Newcastle Knights haven't thrown a bit more at the Melbourne Storm left edge. It's a bit of a makeshift edge with Cooper Clark and Joe Chan and Moses Leo on that edge as we see Dane Gagai force his way out there. Good tackle by Joe Chan. But look, there's opportunities there. Joe Chan's had his problems in defence this year on the edges, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see more ball go to the Newcastle right.
Jaguar tries again. Game number 3-2-7 for him tonight, Hoffy. So he actually overtakes the man to my right on the all-time games list, Gagai. He's now up to, 21st overall as far as the free game players are concerned. Kick from Harrison Graham onto the chest of Suafalongo. And again, he skips across that defensive line. Lost his footing, though, as Graham gets him 35 out from his own line. Still Melbourne 10, Newcastle 6. 12 left in the first half on ABC Sport. You're with Brett Sprague, Ryan Hoffman, me and Cohen. You can text us as well, 0467 920 222. And Safidi nails Waitere. One of Melbourne's 2 try scorers so far. Waitere still playing it, better shot of halfway. Grant off to Munster. And now across now to Moses Leo. He's got the head taped and he's up over the halfway line here before he's met by big Tyson Frizzell. Dummy half, Joe Chan onto Munster. Second last play here. Left to right shift there. Falongo dummies and goes himself, but dragged down around the hips by Dylan Lucas. And he'll play at 35 out here for the Storm on this last play. Running kick from Hughes. Warbrick chasing it through. There was Margie in his way. Batted back by Warbrick off the shins here of Waitere. Scoops it back here for his teammate in Lasati. All the way back now for Munster. Swats away Safidi. Puts in a kick. He was felled there by Frizzell. Ref says nothing doing. Ponga recovers the football here for the Newcastle Knights and remains 10-6 Melbourne.
Sorry, I'm having a bit of a giggle here because Cameron Munster did everything he could to try and get a penalty there. I don't think it was. I think the Newcastle players stood their ground. Good call, Ashley Klein.
You're a fair man, Hoffy. That's a good call.
I just know Cameron Munster very well.
Gagai, 30 out, 20 in from the eastern side. Dummy half, Dylan Brown. Back to Dom Young. And 4 purple jerseys greet him. 40 out, make it now 30 as he's forced all the way back from his own line here. 10 and a half left in this opening 40 at Amy Park, where it is the Melbourne Storm 10, the Newcastle Knights 6. Play for Newcastle. Graham finds Sharp to Ponga. Pass, I don't think it was in for him, but came out Fletcher Hunt though. Hunt with some dash. Back on the inside now for Dylan Lucas, who can string it and score the try. What a year he's having, Dylan Lucas. He slides in behind the posts. 2 tries against the Eels last week. The New South Wales squad member scores a try here for the Newcastle Knights, which will put them back in front. 10 points all. Kicks are coming directly in front at the half-hour mark here tonight.
That try really sort of came from not much, to be quite honest. Just a simple little shift there by Newcastle. Great footwork, and it was Mania Waitere just making a poor read on Fletcher Hunt. He came in where he didn't need to, which created the extra man, and then Dylan Lucas just keeps going on his try-scoring spree, scoring his 7th for the year, but really nothing doing for the Newcastle Knights. Just a couple of moments of individual brilliance by Ponga and Hunt.
He also scored 2 tries last time these sides met here 2 seasons ago. Dylan Lucas, the ever-improving back rower. Touchline we go, Ian Cohen.
Well, you talk about that last time they were here. It was highly entertaining. Storm 36 beat the Knights 28, but there was plenty of tries, and I reckon we're aiming up to something similarly entertaining tonight.
Yeah, dry conditions. And what's the temperature down there at the moment, Koza?
Down here in the hardware section, well, it's only a 2-socket today, not a 3-socket, so it's probably a lazy 12 degrees.
Yeah, a little bit cooler in Canberra. We're off to next for the Raiders and the Roosters with Andrew Moore, Alan Tongue and John Gibbs. Meanwhile, Kalen Ponga lines up the kick from directly in front, which will put the visitors in front, 12 points to 10. 8:50 left in this first half.
There's just been a couple of lapses from the Storm players that have created those tries. A knock on there earlier from Will Warbrick, and then a poor read there from Mania Waitere.
Mentioned a pivotal few weeks for the Melbourne Storm. They're 5 and 8. Have to win, you'd think, at least 7 games their last 11 to be qualifying for finals. As Ponga makes no mistake here. It is, in fact, Newcastle 12, Melbourne 10 as we approach half-time here at Amy Park in Melbourne. 0467 920 222. Enjoying the call. Thank you, listening in Sydney. Enjoying a cold night inside, playing Guess Who and listening to Friday Night Football. Cara and Sebastian. On the bus, Adelaide to Whyalla. Loving the call, boys, says Adsy. Steve says the crowd background noise sounds very subdued over the airwaves. Happening at the ground tonight at Amy Park. Not the biggest crowd. he said. Long weekends are tricky sometimes, but we'll get the
6 o'clock kickoff.
We'll get the crowd figure. That's a good point. We'll get the crowd figure for you, Steve. Thank you. Out by the river, just out of Wagga for Spider's 80th birthday. Great calling, fellas, from Petrie Cameron. Good on you, and happy birthday to Spider, 80 years of age. Into your text as we go. Of course, we'll preview Canberra and the Roosters up next from Canberra Stadium. Got back here by Frizzell. Play at 20 out 20 in eastern side, and also out there here for the Newcastle Knights, and it's Pasami Solo out there who's run the footy. Yes, it's his first carry off the bench as well. So they've used Frizzell and Pasami Solo, and of course Harrison Graham, who came on very early after Phoenix Crossland was knocked out cold. Through the gap, Croker just about, shares it now with Fletcher Sharp, took on Falongo gets him, and it's going to be penalty Newcastle. Ash Klein didn't like that tackle as Hughes is getting up to his feet as well. Has he penalised Falongo?
No, he penalised Jerome.
Did Hughes slide in? Oh, yeah, he did.
It's a good tackle by...
Hughes clips Fletcher Sharp.
He's on the... Because he got knocked down low, Hughes was coming down the jumper and he sort of slid over the top and hit him in the head.
So, Newcastle penalty, and they'll tap here 25 out from that northern line. The Billy Slater stand end here at Amy Park in Melbourne. Newcastle 12, Storm 10, 7.5 left at the break. Brown, cut out balls. Left wanting for Ponga, and Munster puts him down. Queensland teammates. Now it's really on for young and old. They come in from everywhere. This is a genuine Friday night melee here in Melbourne. There's two big groups of players. Plenty of arms, plenty of jumpers being tugged. Refs and touchies hovering, trying to split them. And it all began like the Ponga's error, and then Munster felled his Queensland teammate.
Yeah, that really came out of nothing, but it blew up. And Suafalongo went way out of his weight class. He went straight at Jermaine McEwen from a long way away. And McEwen ragdolled him. It's all right, play them.
Yeah, they've been split now. Certainly a few hot heads out there as ref Ash Klein tries to bring things under control. It's going to be penalty Newcastle. I fancy for that very first action.
Really?
Or is it going to be a scrum feed Melbourne?
Scrum
I thought he pointed to Newcastle, but
let's scrum play on.
We had the first penalty of the game a short time ago as well. That did go Newcastle's way. So he's just having I think he's having a look here in the bunker, of course, with Chris Butler, and having a chat to see if the ref. He's having a chat to Cat Munster and Alan Klein.
Initial push, but there was stuff on the ground until after. Just speak to the guys. Let's cut up. All right? No, speak to your guys now. It's your one and only chance for this type of stuff.
Harry Grant.
Yeah, good job.
Yep. So it's going to be just the scrum.
Yeah.
For Melbourne.
Is it?
Or is they saying penalty?
On report, facial.
On report for...
oh, God. We put people on reports for facials these days.
So Cam Munster in the book for that... so here's a Newcastle penalty. So back-to-back Newcastle penalties.
Yeah, it went against Joe Chan. I don't know what Joe Chan did. Anyway, play on.
So Joe Chan's on report. Okay. Look that again, I reckon. I guess he sort of came in, didn't he, after that initial push. 15 out here, the Newcastle Knights. They lead 12 points to 10 with 6:50 left. Then they get the set restart to boot. Frizzell powers his way into a three-man tackle, and he'll play at 9 out centre field. Dummy half Graham. On here to Fletcher Sharp. Oh, it's been lost by Lucas. Great tackle in there from the Storm defence. To knock the air to Dylan Lucas, and the ball does come loose here. So it's going to be Melbourne scrum, 10 metres out, about 5 out from that northern line here at Amy Park. As we go back to the touchline, Ian Cohen.
That was a bit of excitement, wasn't it? I want our listeners to rank, is it a push and shove, a Barney, a Fracker, a Ding Dong, a Melee, or an all-in?
Well,
so you can only have 5. You need to rank them 1 to 5 in degrees of intensity. Push and shove, Barney, Fracker, Ding Dong, Melee, all-in.
That was definitely, it was Melee bordering all in, I reckon, Hoffy.
Yeah,
that was a bench clearing, not quite bench clearing, Origin last year, but certainly was a bit going on. Here is Waitere. And he'll play at 25 out from his own line here for the Melbourne Storm. 5:50 left in this first half. And there's a run from Nate McDonald. And 2 losing grand finals. He started his first 3 games of the year. This is 10th overall coming off the bench. Storm rumble upfield here. Still 5 short of the halfway on this second last effort now as Grant spins it across for Liero. And Graham and Frizzell meet here. Right smack bang on halfway at Amy Park in Melbourne as Grant goes back to Jerome Hughes to end the set with a high kick down to the Marzu wing. Knights are on the attack here. Marzu takes on Warbrick and Waitere. And Greg Marzu will play at 25 out from his own line. So 5:13 left in this first half. Of course, we'll preview Canberra and the Roosters at Cameron Stadium up next. We'll see if this first half has a few twists and turns left yet. And seesawing encounter. Here is Dane Gagai. Play at 30 out from his own line. Dummy half Dylan Brown takes off himself from that dummy half position and now collected 8 metres short of the halfway. Tackle 4 now for the Newcastle Knights. 12-10 their lead here at Amy Park in the Victorian capital. Graham, low ball there now for Brown, and out comes across to Ponga. Shows some dash, shares it with Lucas. He scored their last try and he's lost here in the offload. Let's come forward, and it will be Melbourne's ball 30 out from their own line with 4:28 left in the first half. Ryan Hoffman.
Yeah, 4 minutes 28 to go. Got to be honest, the Newcastle Knights look the fresher of the teams coming into the back end of the half. They're making some good meters and making some inroads in the Melbourne Storm defence. For the Storm, they just need to get back to running hard and straight, putting the ball in. I think now's not the time for them to be passing the ball wide, going shift to shift.
7 short of halfway here, the Melbourne Storm. The run from Moses Leo. And he's collected 5 inside Newcastle territory with 4 minutes left in this first half. Comes to Jerome Hughes. Off here to Lasati. 25 out, 20 in western side. That's Avalu Lasati. Scored tries in rounds 1 and 10. Both have been wins for the Melbourne Storm, which have been a bit lesser likely this year, less often. Here's Cooper Clark, played there for Grant. Short side left to Munster. Dummies, pops it back here awkwardly. Pounced on by Falongo. It's still alive here. Last play for the Storm. Pass wide for Leo, and his flick pass is awkward as well. It will come back here for a Melbourne penalty. Their first of the game. Remains Newcastle 12 to Storm 10 with 3:20 left in this first half.
Yeah, Jermaine McEwen never got himself onside, and Melbourne Storm flicked it back and he got himself involved as we see a bit of back chat from the Newcastle Knights. I tell you what, she's all fired up in this last 5 minutes.
The refs love that, don't they? So, that's kind of already blown the penalty for Melbourne. And they'll tap here. 10 metres out from that Newcastle line, southern end of the ground. Grant to Hughes, on to McDonald. And he goes charging into those 3 Newcastle defenders. Graham in there as well as Frizzell and Lucas as well. 8 metres out now for the Storm. Grant across to Hughes and now Munster. Flat ball to Cooper Clark. A big back rower is tackled now 6 metres shy of that Newcastle line. Harry Grant back to Munster. Got flat footed, got the pathway there for Liero. And Liero again is wrestled to the turf now. 5 out in front of the uprights. Play for Grant here, tackle 4. Low ball there for Hughes. Pass across the top though for Warbrick. Coverage pass from Hughes to Warbrick, and Warbrick finishes off and scores a try for the Melbourne Storm. His 48th of his career, and it brings the home side back to the lead. 14-12, kick to come Storm in the dying stages before half-time.
That's a huge try for the Melbourne Storm. I mentioned before, Newcastle Knights before they were finishing the half the stronger, but Melbourne Storm going to go in at half-time ahead. Beautiful pass there by Jerome Hughes. Waited it perfectly. Waited for the winger Marzu to commit on Waitere, who just held his run a bit, which forced Marzu to come right out of the line. Floated it lovely over to Will Warbrick. He wasn't dropping that one. He sticks the ball over. Melbourne Storm try.
Touch time to go, Ian Cohen.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty, but Jerome Hughes had enough to do, and Warbrick obviously was almost falling into it as well. So Will Warbrick's done his bit, but you can see Hughes darting into that right-hand side, and he certainly made the most of it. So well done to Jerome. He's back in into some good form, Jerome Hughes.
By the way, full-time in the Super Rugby, it's finished up Hurricanes 66, Brumbies 12. So the Hurricanes progress to the next week of the finals. The Brumbies do not. This season over for the ACT Brumbies. 14-12 the scoreline here in the last 60 seconds of this opening 40 minutes. We'll see Farlongo. He's 1 from 2. He missed one here from actually a slightly more easier angle earlier in this half. Time off, blown by referee Ashley Klein.
He takes his time, doesn't he?
He does. He sure does. Nick Mini did as well, though. So here is Farlongo. Right foot kick. Again, starts at left and doesn't quite come back enough. So he's 1 from 3. Every kick matters in situations and scorelines such as this. 47 seconds left. Melbourne 14, the Newcastle Knights 12. Off the SMS. Final season as a Knights fan, and they're having a great year, listening from the Uber providing a rugby league education. Go the Bears, can't wait for next year, says one correspondent. Thank you for that. So is that like an old Bears fan going back to the new first grade team in Perth, or are you just a Newcastle fan going, nah, Perth Bears are my team?
Yeah, I reckon it'd be an old Bears man.
You'd think so.
I think so.
To sort of say this is my last year as a Newcastle Knights fan, and setting I guess a term limit on that. So thank you for that text. Here's McDonald, brings it back from the kick-off. 36 seconds left, and we'll play it 15 out centre field. Across here they come with Jack Hetherington, who turns 30 on Monday. So, of course, he had 53 games at Newcastle across his career. A few clubs so far. Jack Hetherington fed back here for Harry Grant. Spins all the way across now for Jerome Hughes. On to Farlongo. Some run here for Waitere. 10 seconds left in the half here. It's Melbourne 14, Newcastle 12. It's tackle for Melbourne. Comes across to Hughes. Looks back here to his right-hand side, but holds the 40, and he's tackled by Harrison Graham and Fletcher Sharp right on the half-time hooter. So an enthralling game, not the prettiest game so far. It's a 14-12 scoreline in Melbourne's favour. Tries to Yatoikamanu, Waitere and Warbrick for the home side. Fletcher Sharp and Dylan Lucas on the board in that first half for the Newcastle Knights. Ryan Hoffman, your thoughts?
Yeah, entertaining game of football. I'm actually really enjoying it. The teams are very evenly matched. I mentioned before I was a bit worried about Melbourne Storm's left edge, but all the tries for the Newcastle Knights has come through their right. Kalen Ponga, he's so effective on their left side of the field. And look, for the Melbourne Storm, we're starting to see Jerome Hughes finding a bit of form. Sua Farlongo's everywhere. So, look, which team's ahead? I know Melbourne Storm are ahead on the scoreboard, but I think it's a very, very even contest.
Phoenix Crossland didn't see any further part in the game beyond those first few minutes due to a Category 1 concussion. Some incidental contact there with Joe Chan, who was also placed on report for a later incident. That was during a melee between Melbourne and Newcastle players after Cameron Munster pushed his Origin teammate, Kalen Ponga. We've had 60% possession in that first half of the Melbourne Storm's way, 90% completion rate for the home side. So the Knights have made more errors, but still only trailed by those 2 points at the halftime break. 4 line breaks to 3 in Newcastle's favour. Penalty count is 2-all, with a further 2-1 set restarts going Newcastle's way in that first half. Ian Cohen, your thoughts on the opening 40s that transpired from your point of view?
Yeah, really interesting to see Harry Grant keeping Melbourne Storm out there as well, and the boys huddled up. Newcastle have been in the sheds for maybe 30 or 40 seconds so far, but look, really entertaining and very open football. A lot of progression from one side of the ground to the other, so really entertaining and open football. I'm looking forward to the second half that should be just as entertaining. You talked about Jai Arrow being involved in Big Freeze, obviously on Monday at the MCG. Craig Bellamy's actually wearing his slider number 92, Big Freeze Forever beanie, that all of the sliders get a new beanie every year, and it has their number on it, and Craig's wearing his tonight.
I didn't realise that. That's pretty cool. So if you're a slider, you get in perpetuity a new beanie every year.
Yeah, that's right. It's called BFF, Big Freeze Forever, and every slider gets issued a new one with his number or her number embroidered on it. So Craig's wearing his tonight.
Someone here said there was a few texts about Donnybrook As far as on the scale of what's a melee and what's a sort of a fracas or whatever.
Yeah, I think Donnybrook's on a bit of another level.
Okay.
I think that's actual fisticuffs.
Yeah, we don't see many punches thrown these days, do we? But
No,
it was still.
Thank you, Paul Gallen.
Barrington of Blackheath says, well, wouldn't it be on report? It's nothing to do with the game, which is advancing the ball toward the opponent goal line. If you give a facial in the street, you are liable for assault. Just arguing for the Joe Chan facial report.
We're not on the street, though. You're also not allowed to tackle. You're not allowed to tackle people on the street either, but they allow you to do that on football field.
Get to your text after news. We'll also preview Canberra and the Roosters up next. It is 14-12 the scoreline here. Melbourne leads Newcastle. Keep your text coming, 0467 920 222. But right now, it is time for us to get the latest from the ABC newsroom.
ABC News with Noni Edwards. A 70-year-old man in Perth's north has been charged for allegedly sending offensive emails to a federal parliamentarian. Australian Federal Police conducted an investigation where they linked the man to the emails before executing a search warrant at his Yanchep home. The man allegedly sent numerous emails containing racist remarks to the electorate office of a federal parliamentarian. He's been charged with 5 counts of using a carriage service to menace, harass or cause offence and is due to appear before Perth Magistrates Court in July. The family of an Indigenous boy who died in a fatal crash with an unmarked police car in Sydney have welcomed the sentencing of a New South Wales police officer despite him avoiding jail time. Tani Jash reports.
Lachlan Wright, the father of 16-year-old Jai Kalani Wright, says he is relieved the court case for his son's death has come to an end. Jai Wright died in February 2022 after colliding with an unmarked police car at an intersection in inner Sydney. Benedict Bryant was found guilty of dangerous driving occasioning death in November last year. Bryant has avoided jail time and will serve 2 years imprisonment through an intensive corrective order and 500 hours of unpaid community service.
The federal government's been accused of misleading the public over billions of dollars worth of cuts to the National Disability Insurance Scheme during a tense session of Senate estimates. More from National Disability Affairs reporter Naz Campanella.
The federal government is looking to reduce spending on the NDIS by around $38.1 billion over 4 years. And Senator Jordan Steele-John has quizzed NDIS Minister Jenny McAllister about how those savings will be achieved. Senator Steele-John has accused the government of framing sweeping changes as measures to tackle fraud, while instead making savings by cutting supports to participants. He's pointed to Treasury modelling, which shows less than $1 billion of the $38 billion saving will be saved by anti-fraud measures. Senator Jenny McAllister hit back, saying he was conflating issues and that tackling fraud returns money to participants.
A former partner of consulting firm KPMG who blew the whistle on practices in 2021 says he isn't surprised corporate watchdog ASIC has launched a new probe. KPMG is being investigated over a whistleblower scandal which prompted the resignations of Chief Executive Andrew Yates, Head of Audit Julian McPherson and Chief Operating Officer Eileen Hoggett. The whistleblower who came forward in 2024 claims partners misused confidential client information to win audits. University of Wollongong Professor Brendan Lyon says current laws have long-standing issues.
ASIC has very limited powers to deal with KPMG as an entity or as a firm. And so their investigations are really focused on 3 or 4 individuals, which makes sense in terms of the breach of audit ethics. But the problem is much broader and systemic.
Overseas, the US president says he's spoken directly to Hezbollah about a possible end to fighting in Lebanon. More from Sarah Amir.
Donald Trump says the militant group called him to discuss stopping the war. Hezbollah has rejected a renewed ceasefire between the US, Israel and the Lebanese government and has not commented on the US leader's remarks. Mr. Trump says he believes progress is being made in negotiations to end the conflict.
Lebanon's been under attack for so many years and always like an underdog, and it would be really nice if it could end.
The renewed truce would allow Israel to continue its occupation and bombing of southern Lebanon, but demands Hezbollah disarm and withdraw. The Iran-backed group was not involved in the negotiations.
Officials in Ukraine say a Russian drone attack on a region surrounding Kiev has killed at least 4 people. The Russian governor there says the attack caused a fire at a food industry enterprise, destroying parts of its structure. Comes after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called for a face-to-face meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in a bid to end the war. Moscow has not directly responded. And there's hope goats can be used to help eat up dry vegetation and reduce fire loads this summer. The Rural Fire Service in New South Wales has been using goats for years, and there's hope the program will roll out nationwide. Traditional reduction methods such as planned burning and using machinery can sometimes be unsuitable because of the terrain and vegetation. Vegetation management business Enviro Grazers Daniel Humpage says goats can also work in any weather condition.
It doesn't matter whether it's windy or it's hot or it's dry or it's raining. They can go any day of the year, any condition, and they'll be working to reduce fuel load to make things safer when it comes to fires.
And you're now up to date with the very latest from ABC News. There's more at any time on ABC Listen.
Who will win the AI race? Has gambling become our national sport?
Questions. They've never been more important. So the one thing we'll never question is our duty to keep asking. ABC News. Keep asking.
ABC sports coverage of the 2026 NRL Premiership.
Hughes, and now Josh King straightening run here toward the uprights, and he's standing there in a 3-man tackle. Last play Storm, 4 out from Newcastle's line. You took Kamano first receiver, hitting, spinning, and try scoring. Melbourne defending, Newcastle on the attack. Graham to Brown, back on the inside now for Ponga. Safiti almost spilled it, lays out the pass here for Fletcher. Sharp who goes in to score behind the posts. Longo off here to Waitete, charging into 1-2 and grounding. Bonaya Waitete scores a try. And the Storm hit back to lead 10-6, kick to come. Play for Newcastle. Graham finds Sharp to Ponga. Pass, I don't think it was in for him. It came to Fletcher Hunt though. Hunt with some dash. Back on the inside now for Dylan Lucas, who can string it and score the try. What a year he's having, Dylan Lucas. He slides in behind the posts. 5 out in front of the uprights. Play for Grant here, tackle 4. Low ball there for Hughes. Pass across the top though for Warbrick. Coverage pass from Hughes to Warbrick, and Warbrick finishes off.
ABC sports coverage of the 2026 NRL Premiership.
On your radio, ABC Sport Digital Radio,
And ABC Listen.
Yeah, half-time here in Melbourne, where the Storm 14 lead the Newcastle Knights 12. Up next, we're off to Canberra for the Raiders and the Roosters, which is where we find Andrew Moore. G'day, Maury.
Hello, Spriggy. 8 degrees here in beautiful Canberra. Feels like 4, and we are about an hour away from kick-off. Canberra Raiders and the Sydney Roosters. The team news for Canberra, the only changes to their bench. Joseph Roddy drops off. Benapatuki Case is the replacement in jersey number 21. He is a middle forward. For the Sydney Roosters, winger Cody Ramsey makes way for the returning Mark Nawonga-Nitawaze. He'll wear jersey number 23. He's been out for 5 weeks with a syndesmosis injury. Couple of switcheroos. Hooker Reece Robson and front rower Lindsay Collins to the bench. Connor Watson to start at hooker in jersey 14. Spencer Lenu to start in the front row in jersey number 15. So they're the team changes. The referee will be Jared Sutton with Grant Atkins in the bunker. Canberra 12th, Roosters 4th, and I'm joined here by former Canberra captain Alan Tongue and former Manly Ringer halfback John Gibbs. Tonguey, good evening to you. Beautiful conditions. Look at you. You're in your singlet and your board shorts, ready to rumble. This could be a good game. Canberra has not really got going yet this year, but they've got a great record against the Roosters.
Yeah, that's right. They lifted the games against the Roosters, but last week we really saw some signs of what the Raiders played like last week. The Cowboys, they had a 26 points to 12 win. Ethan Sanders didn't have the kicking boots on from out wide there. He missed about 5 there last week. So it was a really convincing win, but some good energy through the middle. Bit of second phase play, and the razzle-dazzle that we saw a lot from the Raiders there last year. And for the Roosters, I tell you what, their completion power down, plenty of errors against the Melbourne Storm, but they've got strike all over the park. So yes, some chilly conditions, but I think we're going to be in for a really good game.
John Gibbs will be down there on the touchline a little bit later. The layers are building as the night goes on. Gibbsy, good evening to you. Really looking forward to this game. The Roosters have lost 2 in a row. Is it just a bit of a hiccup or a slump?
Good evening, Andrew and Alan. Yes, it's going to be cold down there, but it'll be good. It's dry. That's the main thing. It's a mini hiccup, but they started the season so well. What's a worry is the last couple of games have only scored 16 points. They're averaging before that more than 30. So they've fallen off a cliff in that respect. But their ball handling, their respect for the ball has been abominable. Talking about snowmen, it was really bad. The last 2 weeks has been horrible. And I don't know how you explain it, because we've seen the Roosters play. That game when Anthony Seibold, after that game he got putted, that, you know, you thought the end of the world was coming down at Brookvale. Well, they completed 95%. You know, last week, 63%. And that was back after Magic Round. Magic Round was terrible against the North Queensland Cowboys. They made 18 errors in both of those games. So if they make those errors, they'll present it on a platter for Canberra. I just think a couple of little changes, a tweak here. They've done some soul searching during the week. I think they'll perform a lot better tonight. And there's been a great rivalry, as Alan knows, between these two clubs. They are always good games. I think the last few, albeit Canberra has prevailed, have been quite close.
Just had a flashback to David Truella trying to tackle running into Mal Meninga with that's right, the great helmet. David Truella running into Mal Meninga's arm guard in 1987. Canberra's defence is up to the task, Tungy, against this Roosters team?
Well, there's certainly, I think last week their defensive display was as good as it's been in a long period of time, but there'll be some changes. Seb Chris out with that neck injury. Dane Laurie comes into the centres on that right-hand side, which has probably been the side that they have struggled with the most, and that'll be the one that Sammy Walker's going to be scheming with, no doubt, here tonight. So there has been a little bit of concern, but it was better signs there last week. They need to be on. Big battle in the forward pack, which Joe Tarpany has been absolutely brilliant for them, but Corey Horsburgh was probably his best game of the season last week as well.
I was going to say the confidence of Hudson Young and Ethan Strange in particular coming back for State of Origin, that's got to be important.
Could we get Corey Horsburgh niggling at Victor Radley and Victor Radley niggling at Corey Horsburgh? And Mount Vesuvius.
Thanks, Scoop. Of course, we'll have a little bit of niggle, but whether they react remains to be seen.
Let's go. Thank you, Tungy. Thank you, Jonty. We'll be back here soon. Let's get back to you at AAMI Park, Spriggy.
Thank you, Maury, Tungy, Gibbsy. Can't wait to get to you guys within the hour, hopefully, for that game. Of course, it's 14-12 here in the 50th meeting between these two sides, Melbourne Storm and the Newcastle Knights, as the Storm make their way out of the sheds. Newcastle waiting for them out here, and we'll see which little momentum swing takes place first, and indeed throughout this second half at AAMI Park in Melbourne. Off the SMS, I'm not going to read. Luca says, I dig the sprig. Thank you, Luca. I appreciate you.
Text that in.
I don't like to read this self-congratulatory text. Big pat on the back for yourself. But Luca, you've sent it a couple of times. Now I've read it once. Thanks, mate. Anyway, the AFL underway shortly as well. Hawthorn, the Western Bulldogs. We'll keep you across what is happening there. Second half underway here at AAMI Park in Melbourne. And the Storm kick off. The Knights to have first use, running left to right or north to south as you look at your ABC Listen mobile phone app. Here's Frizzell, brings it back, 15 out from his own line, and now Pasami Saulo, former Canberra Raider, one of 7 players played every game this year. Pasami Saulo off the bench for the Newcastle Knights. Now they get the early set restart in this second half. Speaking of bench players, there is Harrison Graham performing admirably in the absence of Phoenix Crossland. He was knocked out in the opening minutes. Ponga on here to the edge. Gagai flick past it. John Young back on the inside for Brown. He's in open space and runs the rest of the way about 20 metres to score the try. Newcastle starts perfect in this second half in Melbourne to lead 16-14. Kick to come Ryan Hoffman.
Well, where did that come from? Just 2 quick passes, and then Joe Chen got himself caught in an awkward position there.
Hang on. Pump the effects for us, Lee. Those Newcastle fans were chanting. They're making their voice heard.
There's there's a nice little pocket of them down there. But yeah, it was just a simple shift, and Joe Chan got caught and just seemed to just fall over and got the ball out to Dom Young, and Dylan Brown had too much pace for Cooper Clark filling through the middle.
Played his 150th NRL game last week. Dylan Brown, of course, he performed well against his old side, Parramatta. The NRL's most expensive player has scored the first try of their second half. Go back to Ian Cole on the touchline.
Well, the word out of the Storm sheds was don't let them score on the first set, so that didn't quite work, did it? No, obviously for Storm, they're looking to play some expansive football again and be able to do it. And for Newcastle, it was let's get it out of ours and let's get it down their end, and they've successfully done that. So mission accomplished for the Knights so far, not so much Storm.
The lead has swung again in the very first set of the second half here in Melbourne. Kalen Ponga, who's 2 from 2 so far this evening, will kick from directly in front, a very slight angle in line with the right hand upright. Loving the call, go the Knights from Big Daddy in Coffs Harbour. Grant from Tyree is sitting back having a couple of beers, loving the coverage. Go Knights. Great to hear from you all. Kalen Ponga now 3 from 3. Newcastle 18, Melbourne 14 inside these first 2.5 minutes of the second 40 at Amy Park in Melbourne. Repeating earlier in the Super Rugby, the Hurricanes 66 beat the Brumbies 12, and a lot of you have just joined us through local radio in the ACT, joining us from that Super Rugby elimination final with Declan Byrne and the crew. So Newcastle leads here. Hoffy, as I mentioned, Storm haven't won on a Friday night in this 2026 NRL season. And again, they lose that lead. So 18-14 Newcastle. How do the Storm respond? Falongo kicks off down towards that northwestern corner. Young plants his foot over the line, takes the catch. That means incorrect restart. Newcastle ball.
Look, I think Melbourne still wish they could go back in the sheds and start again. It's a poor start. Their first set, there was a 6 again to the Newcastle Knights, and then I saw Falongo kicking it out on the full.
So Kalen Ponga, that means he gets to find touch on the western side. Catch that, Koza. Just over his head down there. And they'll tap here 25 out from that southern goal line. Gagai feeds it on here for Dylan Brown. Out of Pasami Saulo. Back after 3 years at the Raiders. Play it 20 out, 20 in western side. Graham. Flat pass across here for Sharp, and now Ponga. They strip the Storm defence for numbers here. Ponga gets up here off the Hughes initial bump, and he's still going Ponga. He'll play it 7 out, deep in that south-eastern corner of the ground. Hunt across now for Graham. Left to right, inside ball does come to Croker, and Croker is brought to the turf here. In fact, no, he's still standing in the tackle of McDonald. Now he's put down, 8 metres out, dead centre for the Newcastle Knights. Graham on here to Sharp. Awkward low ball. Just went past the boots there of Hunt. He goes to retrieve it, loses some ground in the process. And Fletcher Hunt will now play at 20 out, but 5 in from the eastern side. Marzu, the dummy half onto Ponga. Inside ball, Graham finds Frizzell, and he makes light work of Waitera. On here to Lucas on a jinking run, and he goes one way, now the next, and he gets the ball down. Was there a promotion here for Dylan Lucas over that goal line, Ryan Hoffman?
Yeah, it's gone up as no try.
I think let's have a listen. He said no try, and he's saying double movement.
He promoted the football.
Yeah.
I don't think he needed to. But the arm carrying the ball definitely hit the ground, and then he promoted it forward.
See at this point here, Dylan Lucas, the arm carrying the ball has touched the ground, and
Voice
the
of
ball
Chris
is
Butler,
underneath
the
his
bunker.
armpit.
Still a metre shy at that point, and then Harry Grant tackled.
Yeah.
He now extends the ball in a secondary motion to get to the goal line, which is a double movement.
He got a promotion this week with a new contract for a few more years, and he's had the wrong kind there.
I tell you what, Melbourne Storm very, very lucky there. That was looking a bit too easy for the Newcastle Knights. The Melbourne Storm just haven't woken up in the second half, and that's one thing they have been poor at this year is their second half.
So with that Storm penalty, of course, they find touch on the eastern side. Penalty count in the game is 3-all as it currently stands. Scoreline 18-14 in the Knights' favour. You're with Brett Sprigg alongside Ryan Hoffman and Ian Cohen here. NRL Friday on ABC Sport as Grant at dummy half goes off to his right. And again, 3 Newcastle defenders swallowing up Waitera down there. Grant at dummy half. So he came off the bench last week, Harry Grant, of course, post-Origin. And here he is performing in the whole game so far, at least for the Storm. Liero gains a quick 8-9 metres here, 40 out from his own line. Grant on in turn to Jack Hetherington. It was his 30th birthday on the King's birthday. It's better if his name was Josh King. His birthday anyway. Goes down towards Jerome Hughes. Down to Kalen Ponga with that high kick, and Ponga takes it 25 out from his own line. Being lost by Marzu. So Newcastle make the error again. Picked up on McDonald. Back here now for Jerome Hughes. Storm away on the overlap. Makes light work of Ponga. Hughes steamrolled the Newcastle fullback and scores the try. What happened to Kalen Ponga? Jerome Hughes scores the try for Melbourne. Momentum swings again. The Storm are in front, or at least level. 18 points, all kick to come.
There's just another try out of absolutely nothing. A poor pass there by Kalen Ponga. He's made some great options tonight, but that was a poor pass to Marju under pressure. And then Jerome Hughes picked it up.
Oh, he's holding his left shoulder here, Kalen Ponga. This could be real trouble.
This could be big strife because he has not moved.
Yeah, he's down in real discomfort, Kalen Ponga. Hughes. Oh, yeah, as he went in the tackle, as he went to make the tackle on Jerome Hughes, he just...
Yeah, I think he got his head in the wrong spot.
Oh.
It might just be a stinger. I think it's just he got his head in the wrong spot, which can cause the nerve down the neck to sort of fire, and it feels like your arm's about to fall off, but you give it a rub and you'll be right in 5 minutes.
Okay, we'll see what becomes of
he's moving all right now.
He's moving back to the in-goal area now. Touchline we go, Ian Cohen.
I told you Jerome Hughes was starting to fire up again, didn't I? And he's in again. Great solo effort. Did it all himself and managed to get amongst the scorers.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is for Kalen Ponga. He got his head in the wrong spot and would have just stirred up the nerve in his neck. So just a stinger.
So this will put the Storm in front. Sul Falongo from directly in front. He's 1 from 3 so far tonight. This will make it 20 points to 18. And a game that hasn't felt high quality and yet has had all these momentum shifts.
Yeah.
So
it's entertaining though.
Yeah, he's entertaining, absolutely. 6.5 go on second half. Falongo makes no mistake directly in front, so he's 2 from 4. It is indeed Melbourne 20, Newcastle 18 here. NRL Friday on ABC Sport with Brett Sprigg, Ryan Hoffman and Ian Cohen. There's some big long text here I can't really read. Tiger Matt says, sounds like Andrew picked up a mystery friend on the way to Canberra with Gibbsy. No idea who the Toby he signed off for is. Thank you, Tiger Matt. Got me something, man. 0467920222. So, it's exciting here in Melbourne. First of our 2 games tonight. Canberra and the Roosters coming up. Canberra Stadium next with Andrew Moore, Alan Tongue and John Gibbs. Blake McDonald darts back into the defensive line here, and he's brought down 12 out from his own line at southern end. Dummy half Grant goes himself, steals a quick 10 metres there for the Melbourne Storm. And he's 24 out from his own line. Falongo dummy half back to his right hand side again here for Lasati. Good carry for him, 35 out, 20 in from the eastern side. Grant again, pass through centre field. Liero, Munster inside now for Cooper Clark, and he stands in the Pasami solo tackle, nailed there by Graham. 9 short of halfway. Grant goes off the deck with one hand. He shares it with Jack Hetherington, and he's over that halfway line in quick time. So a good set this one for the Storm. Good yardage set. Second last, now the last play for the Storm as Hughes was felled there quite late as he kicked. A bounce here for Munster, but it's back in the path of Joe Chan. Ponga goes up. What was Munster trying to work out why McKill wasn't penalised for the contact there on this was advantage, I suppose, for Jerome Hughes, but
what was Cameron Munster doing? The ball bounced and he tried to knock it back like a volleyballer. If he would have caught it, there's a fair chance he could have forced his way over the try line.
That was a set, a volleyball set.
A dig.
A dig. Yeah. So I don't know what he was thinking there, but it's going forward. So that's why it's Newcastle's ball. 10 metres out from their own line at northern end. That is the Storm 20, the Knights 18. 9 minutes played. Still 31 minutes left in this encounter on NRL Friday on ABC Sport. There is Marzu, and Marzu claimed 30 out centre field. Graham, the no-look pass to his right for Frizzell, and now Dylan Brown, tackled from behind by Cameron Munster. comes across here again from Fletcher. Sharp. Ponga skips over halfway. Inside ball to Hunt. Gets rid of Hughes. Hunt shares with his fellow Fletcher and Sharp. And now Lero collars him. Last play, Newcastle 40 out. Brown shapes to kick. So the wobbles down there wide for the corner. Dobby Young. A little nudge in there from Moses Leo. Ball bounces back here for Failongo, who's nailed in turn by Tyson Frizzell. Storm go back on the attack, 20 out from their own line.
Yeah, been good. I like that attack from the Newcastle Knights, just really opening them up for Kalen Ponga just to skip on that out and really force the Melbourne Storm edges to make a decision. Good run, Will Warbrick.
Great post-contact run there from the winger. And he stopped 5 short of halfway. But there will be time off blown here by referee Ashley Klein for a play to be assessed, and it is in fact Pasami Solo.
I think he's got a bit of claret.
Yeah, it's been mopped up. I can see it now on the TV. Yeah,
got quite a lot of carrots.
Claret does. It's like one of those iconic images of old rugby league days where players had this sort of cut above the eye, and it's just all. Anyway, Melbourne 20, Newcastle 18. Half an hour left in the game. Touch on we go back to Ian Cohen.
Yeah, it was an errant knee from the Failongo tackle, and he was he was a little bit wobbly when he stood up. I thought he might have even been assessed from the bunker for an HIA. You can see it. It was Sul Failongo's left knee. Just got him right in the top of the bonds.
The lead has changed hands 5 times, by the way, in this game. So since it was 6-6 after the Tuikamano and Sharp tries, we've seen the lead change hands 5 times from that point of the game.
It looks like Basolo's coming off.
So Pasami Solo is coming off the ground. And Melbourne roll on here on tackle 3, just behind that halfway line. Joe Chan on report in the first half for a facial. Tackled there by Jermaine McEwen, who during the week fell afoul of the NRL Integrity Unit for a drink driving charge. Jermaine McEwen. 35 out from that northern line. Storm on the attack. Played there by Hetherington. Dummy half Grant. Now Liero. Whips it across to his right now for Hughes. Failongo. It does come to the wing of Warbrick. And he steps in field. 1-2 tacklers there to greet him. Lucas comes in. Fletcher Hunt. Fletcher Sharp as well. 13 shy of that northern line. What's the collective of Fletchers known as, do you know? Here's Hughes. Across a gaggle of Fletchers. Here's the kick from Munster. It was picked off easily by Dylan Brown. And Newcastle withstand. They'll go back on the attack. 7 metres out from their own line at northern end, Amy Park in Melbourne, where it's the Storm 20, the Knights 18.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Craig Bellamy's going to do. He's got Sean Bloor and Trent Tolau on the bench with 30 minutes to go in the game. I know they like putting Cooper Clark in the middle, so I wouldn't be surprised if you see Sean Bloor come onto the edge for Cooper Clark and Cooper move into the middle of the field.
Speaking of middles, here's Trey Mooney, and he gains a few more metres here. 30 out from his own line. Graham onto Croker, and now Dylan Brown. Munster comes across in the tackle in concert with Grant. 40 out from their own line here, last play Newcastle. Ponga again, felled by his Queensland teammate Cameron Munster. There's plenty of feeling out there, don't worry about that. As the kick went out on the full.
Yeah, well, Munster absolutely flattened it, Kalen Ponga, but I don't see anything wrong with it because he was kicking him in the motion and
nothing wrong with it. Just the fact there's been this extra bit of argy-bargy tonight between the two Queensland teammates.
There was Ponga gave Cameron Munster one from the ground too.
Storm 20, Knights 18. Touch on we go back to Ian Cohen.
I think you'll find a Fletcher is someone that makes arrows, so maybe it could be a quiver of Fletchers.
A quiver of Fletchers. Love it, Koza. I knew he was across those things. 35 out from that northern line. And again, the run now from Lasati. He was in the Samoa squad last year. 25 out, 20 in from the eastern side. Grant dummy half links up with Hughes onto Tuikamanu. And he steals a few more metres post-contact. He's 15 out, 20 in western side now. As Grant shares it now with Cooper Clark. He's inside 10 at that end of the ground. 2018 Storm lead here. Newcastle defending, Storm on the attack on this second last play. Left to right they shift it. Munster finds Hughes, a deft kick for the corner, and it bounces on Conley for Ponga and slapped dead by Fletcher Sharp. Line drop out Newcastle. Still Melbourne 20, Newcastle 18. We've played 13 minutes in this second half on ABC Sport.
Yeah, right idea by Jerome Hughes. He just just needed to give it just a bit more distance just to allow Will Warbrick to run on it. It was a horrible bounce for Kalen Ponga, bounced over his head, but great work by Fletcher Hunt coming across to be able to knock that one dead.
David in Asquith is right across the whole Fletcher quiver thing, so thank you, David. You beat Koza to it. A flood of Fletchers, says Brian of Sherlock Forest. Short drop out Newcastle. Young gets it back, so they keep possession from the goal line dropout. And Young will play at 20 out. 10 in Western side. Dummy half Brown on to Gagai. I mentioned he now has, 327 first grade games. He actually overtakes, so as he's forced back inside the 20 metre line. I mentioned you, Hoffy. You along with Josh Morris and Jeff Gerard, who was, I think, the first player to pass 300 games in first grade. So there you go. And Gagai, of course, who's collecting jerseys as well. He plays the footy here, 25 out from that northern line. As Frizzell gains about 9 more metres here. Play it for Graham. Second last tackle Newcastle. Brown wraparound ball as Safidi hits the deck. 6 short of halfway. Graham fires it back to the Kiwi Brown, and he puts the kick down towards Suafa-Longo. He'll take it. 15 out from his own line for the Melbourne Storm. They turn defence back into attack, and he's collected 21 out from his own line. Suafa-Longo. It's Melbourne 20, Newcastle 18. 14 minutes played in this second half on ABC Sport. Quick dash there from Joe Chan. He'll play it now. Tackle 3 already for Cameron Munster as they try to work this ball upfield. Leo for Grant, and now Warbrick scored a great try. Will Warbrick in that first half just before half time. Tackled now, still inside his own half of the ground. Munster back to Cooper Clark, and he's wrestled with the turf down there by Jermaine McEwen. 40 out, 20 in Western side. Last play Storm, Hughes kicks long down that opposing 10-metre line. Ponga is there, takes a clean catch. Nowhere to go though. Munster gets him in concert with Joe Chan, and Newcastle will start their next set, 15 out from their own line.
Underrated part of Dylan Brown's game is his defence. He's had a big night tonight, guys. We see an error from Newcastle.
Comes across left to right here, so Melbourne get the footy back, and it comes to Hughes. Desperate stuff from Fletcher Sharp to make the tackle on him, which will at least prevent a try on the turnover. Grant back to Josh King, so a set restart now for Melbourne. And Josh King play it now, 10 out, centre of the field for the Melbourne Storm. Grant from dummy half shares it with Munster. On to Yutoi Kamanu, just like the first try of the game. Almost got there himself with that charging run left-hand side of the post. Play it there for Grant. Back to Munster. Left to right they go. Liero, a long pass across from Hughes to Warbrick, and that was a carbon copy of his try in the first half. But this time he's heaped back by about 5 Newcastle jerseys out deep in that northeastern corner of the ground. And he'll play it there, Warbrick. Still early in the set for the Storm after the set restart. Hughes to Munster. Munster goes again here, kicks for the corner, and Moses Leo tracked it well. It went end over end. A well-timed kick from Cam Munster, and the finish to boot there from Moses Leo. Tries in back-to-back games, and he gives the Storm some breathing space here. Ryan Hoffman, it is 24-18, kick to come Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne Storm get the ball from an error from Dom Young coming own end. Cameron Munster, that was a great play. He made a tremendous defensive effort, putting kick pressure on Kalen Ponga earlier, but that effort was all about instinct. Second tackle, big gamble to put the kick in, but he weighted it perfectly. Moses Leo was on the same page as Cameron Munster, chasing, and that's a tough ball to put down. He did a tremendous job there, Moses Leo.
Up to the touchline, Ian Cohen.
Yeah, really well done by Leo. He scores again. Better news, obviously, for the Knights in Basami Solo. He's a Category 3. They'll patch him up. They'll get him back out there.
Okay, thank you, Koza. A flock of Fletchers, maybe. Well, they are flyers, says one texter. Off to Japan for a few months. Thanks for the ABC Listen app. We'll be surviving with your great coverage, says Damien, a West Tigers fan in Brisbane. On you, Damien. Good to see some spice. Munster must have lost honey on Origin 1. And it's reminding Ponga, Mark Alliance. Now, we'll see here. On the replay, looks like Moses Leo. Ooh, is there separation between hand and ball as he comes down off he?
Yeah,
this might be taken off him.
I don't know. I'm keeping an eye on Ashley Klein. Suafa-Longo's lining up his kick.
This is where they'll blow time off here. If
they play at full speed, it's a definite try. But even with the slow-mo version, I didn't see too much.
We've had a couple of sort of, specifically bunker howlers in the past, so far around 14, the one game so far, last night at Brookvale.
All right, it's all clear.
All clear, there we go. Okay. Matt also says, given they're playing for the Knights, a realm of Fletchers would be more appropriate. Fletchers are feathers, so a flamingo of Fletchers. And someone else said, this is why I listen to the ABC, get the really highbrow stuff. You get the term for, the Fletchers. Anyway, here's Farlongo, who's 21 metres out here from that northern goal line, a metre in from the western touch line. He's not got his kicking boots on tonight. He's 2 from 4. There's 1 from 3 at one stage. Every point counts. It's 6 points the Storm advantage, and he makes it 8 with that sideline conversion. 3 from 5 for Farlongo. It's the Storm 26, the Knights 18 here. NRL Friday on ABC Sport. A murder of Fletchers, says Paris in Borough in South Australia. But likes the idea of quiver. Dave in the cab said the Fletcher collective term is why we listen to the ABC. Go on you, Dave. How about a mullet of Fletchers, says Eric. Yes, they are announced.
That's my favourite. That's my favourite.
A mullet of Fletchers for those two. Strawny from Maury says, enjoying the call, boys. A collective of Fletchers playing for the Knights could be called a mullet of Fletchers. Keep up the good work. Good on you. There we go. So the Storm receive the footy from Newcastle's kick-off. Hughes back to Yatoika Manu, and he is met there by the defence. He's been out from his own line. Open side left they go here. The Storm on the attack, and again with Lasati up that right edge of the field. 20 in from the eastern side, 25 out from his own line. Liero busy in centre field, shares it with Munster, and Frizzell makes the tackle on him. Play at 30 out now. Short side left they come. Grant links up with Clark, and he's pressing his way into Safiti and Brown. 40 out, 20 in western side. Second last play. As it comes back to Liero from Grant, and Queenslander will play it on halfway here for the Melbourne Storm. Grant back to Munster. Left foot kick, up it goes. Ponga watching this high ball, takes it uncontested, returns only a few more metres, and he's tackled 20 metres out from his own line. It's the Melbourne Storm 26, Newcastle Knights 18. There is still 22 minutes left in the game here, so we're going to we'll push back here because of the delay, because of Phoenix Crossland and all the rest of it. So surprise, surprise. 26-18 as Greg Marju is brought down now. 38 minutes out from his own line. We'll get you off to the Canberra Raiders and Sydney Roosters with Andrew Moore, Alan Tongue and John Gibbs once we're finished here at Amy Park in Melbourne. Lucas tackled, plays it now. Dummy half. It's Thomas Cant for the Newcastle Knights, who didn't see any minutes last week. In fact, he's had no first grade minutes since round 6 against West Tigers. Thomas Cant, no minutes in first grade since then. End of the set, goes down the real wall brick. He's met by that quiver of Fletchers there with Hunt and Sharp. 10 out from his own line. It remains Melbourne 26, Newcastle 18. The midway stage of his second 40. Farlongo run down there by Safiti. Comes across now again for the Melbourne Storm. Moses Leo has also got some claret, I think, coming up the top of his eye. Just have to get some attention. Away through centre field they go again for Liero. In fact, it was Chan. Played to Grant. Now he finds Liero. On the right-hand side they go. Waitere. Run down from behind by Fletcher Hunt. And he'll play it 5 short of the halfway. 26-18 remains Melbourne Storm lead here. Hughes puts his kick down to Kalen Ponga. Receives it 20 out from his own line. Gains a quick 10 more, but he's nailed there on that edge by Grant and also Lasati. He'll play for Fletcher Sharp. On to Marzu. The Knights go back on the attack, Ryan Hoffman.
Yeah, we're starting to see a bit of back and forth, a bit of continuity with the sets. Where both teams are starting to settle into the arm wrestle. Both teams are actually playing really good football. They're spreading the ball wide as Dom Young comes out to the Melbourne Storm left edge.
Fends off Munster, and he's brought down by Cooper Clark. Meanwhile, Joe Chan is down in back play as well, Hoffy. We'll keep an eye on that one. Gagai dummy half for the Newcastle Knights off to Brown, and he gets over halfway here before Yatoika Manu stops him. Play to Gagai. Takes off from dummy half himself here. Oh, makes the break on the edge. Needs support. Takes on Farlongo. Shares it with McEwen. And the back rower goes in to score for Newcastle. His first try this season, Jermaine McEwen. He scores behind the post. The Knights stay alive in this game. 26-22, kick to come, Newcastle.
Yeah, Joe Chan's in the background getting in the back of play, getting some treatment for some type of injury, but it was his edge that the Newcastle Knights attacked. They didn't attack it once, they attacked the 3 sets in a row, really attacking that spot, and then they just got to the outside of Moses Leo on this left edge to be able to get the ball out and put the ball down very next to the post.
Touchline we go, Ian Cohen.
Yeah, I'm watching Joe Chan walk off. There was nothing particularly in the tackle, but it was almost like he stretched or reached too far and maybe a pec or a shoulder. There is a problem there. He's still talking to one of the medical staff at the moment. Looks like he might stay on, but we'll keep an eye on him.
Okay, thank you, Koza. A couple more here. Maddie from the ACT says, why not have a Chevy of Fletcher's? You know the Chevy Chase movie, Fletch? But anyway.
Fletch
and there was another one I saw here as well. Wayne in North Rothbury says, hey Spriggy, instead of the bunker, we call it the menu. Get a different selection every night. Here is Caleb Ponga, who's 3 from 3 so far tonight.
Really shows how important that sideline conversion was from Suafala.
He missed a couple, and every point matters in a game as tight as this. Kalen Ponga, who's 3 from 3, as I mentioned, directly in front, just about, and again makes no mistake. So 4 from 4. It's back to a 2-point ball game. Storm 26, Knights 24. NRL Friday on ABC Sport with Brett Sprigg, Ryan Hoffman and Ian Cohen on the touchline. Troy from Sandy Island, Moreton Bay. Hey Spriggy, Hoffy, and Ian, thank you for embellishing my Friday evening with the relaxed rapport you deliver to the airways in covering the greatest game of all. Still lamenting the Storm severing ties with the Queensland Cup, says Troy. Thank you, Troy. And thank you those who have sent texts so far. 0467920222. It is a tight game, this one, and still 18 minutes left. So I said we're due to depart at sort of 5 to the top of the hour, Melbourne time, and get you to Canberra for the Raiders and Roosters. We will get you there once we're finished up here, of course. We won't leave before full time. So they charge back into the defensive line, that run from the kickoff with Trey Mooney. And now plays it as it comes through centre field. Getting underneath all of that, Craig Marzu. Thomas Cant, dummy half. And now Frizzell gains half a dozen. Still 15 short of halfway here, Tyson Frizzell. As Thomas Cant takes off from dummy half himself and steals 15 metres. Now plays it for Ponga. This is second last play in Newcastle. Breaks one, Liero tackle. Ponga still going, but he's nailed there by Josh King. Former Newcastle Knight across 78 games and 6 seasons. Off to Dylan Brown. Up goes the kick. Shot up in the air. Dagai calls for it. Missed it. It'll bounce toward that Western touchline. Young is there, but he's nailed over the line down there by Moses Leo. So Melbourne hangs on here for a 26-24 scoreline. 17 left in the game. Back to the touchline, Ian Cohen.
Don't mind a Chevy. 6'2", 6'5" with the afro.
You'd be across that as well.
662 says that the $6.20 you pay from the field to fill it up.
Yeah. I must admit, I know the movie, I'm not really across the references, so that's just me just pretending. 15 metres out from their own line here, the Melbourne Storm, as Lucas makes the tackle down there, as the Storm roll on. Grant shares it with Lasati, and Lucas in the tackle again. On tackle 3, make it 4 now for the Storm. Dummy half Grant, off to Liero, and Yutoika Manu gives him some good yardage here on this carry. He's 40 out centre field. Storm leads by 2 points here. Back it comes now to Munster, and Tom Cant gets him, and Brown comes in as well. Tackled 5 short of the halfway. Last play Melbourne. Grant finds Hughes. He kicks to exit the area. High towards the Dom Young wing. He'll swing it across to his fullback, Ponga, and now across to Marzu. Try to catch the Storm defence snapping out there. Waitera gets Marzu, offloads though here for Fletcher Sharp, and Sharp now in turn brought down by Yutoika Manu. 5 short of the halfway, so vision well here the Newcastle Knights on this set. It's tackled 2, and they're only just on halfway here with Dylan Brown, so Brown will play it for Tom Cant, dummy half. Flat ball to Callan Ponga. Skips away from King. She with Gagai out the back. Ponga lost his footing. Comes back to Cant. And now now off to Fletcher Sharp. Again, they strip them back to the left-hand side here to Storm defence. And Newcastle with Saulo is tackled 35 out centre field. Tackle for Newcastle. Cant to find Brown. Rips the pass left here. Sharp finds Hunt. And he takes a knee as Liero tackles him 25 out, sending from the eastern side. Sharp, open side right for Brown. 26-24 is the Melbourne Storm lead here, so it's a 2-point ball game. And on this centre field run, it is with Lucas, who'll play it now for Tom Cant, dummy half. Off to Brown. The kick came off Barlongo, retrieved there by Harry Grant. Storm back on the attack, Ryan Hoffman.
Yeah, that was a very, very dangerous kick by Dylan Brown. If it got through the line, Sua Barlongo was in the defensive line, so if it got through the line, there was no one back there. Newcastle seem to be running the better of the two teams at the moment. The Melbourne Storm need some field position, or they need to get themselves down the other end of the field.
14 and a half left in this game at Amy Park in Melbourne. Storm 26, Knights 24, NRL Friday on ABC Sport. And there is Sean Bloor. So Sean Bloor off the bench, back in the head knock. Warwick makes the break, offloads back to Farlongo. Towards halfway he goes. Fletcher Sharp and Hunt get him. He's 5 inside Newcastle territory, 20 in from the eastern side. Storm lead by 2 points. Open side left they come. Munster. And now Pasami Saulo is making the tackle on him. Centre field 35 out. Grant back to Jerome Hughes. And now again Farlongo. Little deft kick from Waitera, whose run was blocked. But Newcastle win it back here with Cullen Ponga. And he's brought to ground again. Great work by Grant and Hughes to stop the Newcastle captain. He's 15 out, 20 in eastern side. Knights back on the attack. They trail by 2 points. And now Dom Young can't escape the clutches of Josh King. He's still inside 10, northern end. The Englishman will play it now for Brown. As it's back now for Jermaine McEwen, the game's most recent try scorer. Play it 20 out, 20 in western side this time. Gagai straightens his run through centre field. No real gain of metres though, as Lasardi is there. And now Croker goes from dummy half. He gains about 11 or 12. Last play, Knights, they're 35 out from their own line. Cant across to Ponga. And again, he just kicks deep down that eastern touch line. Falongo takes it and will return this kick to his own 20, make it 25 out from his own line. The Storm lead 26-24 here with 12:50 left in the game. They waste no time here, the home side. Comes to Moses Leo. Gagai around the legs and Young up top. 35 out, 10 in now for the Storm. Tackle 3. Dummy half, Munster. Links up there again with Joe, I beg your pardon, getting up the plat. There's Joe Chan, metre short of halfway. Grant off here again to Sean Bloor and his return. Another carry for him, and he's inside Knights territory, 40 out, northern end of the ground. Couple of plays left this set for the home side. Grant to Munster again. They've combined so well tonight, as they usually do. 3-man tackle. Munster offloads back to his skipper. Grant fires it back to Hughes. The right-hand side they go. Farlongo stops, props, lost some distance there as Hunt makes the tackle on by Tete. And then Fletcher Sharp follows up as well. And the Storm here on the last, 30 out, 10 in from the eastern side. They lead by 2 points with 12 minutes left. Dummy half Grant. Open side left to Hughes. Off a step. Kick high for the corner. Warbrick goes up, bats it back. Lasati will share it with Waitete. Steps inside Ponga. That will be 6 again. 6 more Melbourne. Full set. 5 out from Newcastle's line. Can they get some more breathing space here? Hughes. Off to Liero. Offloads back to Jerome Hughes. Carries the ball side 10 metres. Shares it wide to Lasardi. And he stands in the tackle of Fletcher Hunt and Fletcher Sharp. Play it 15 out here, Waitete. Dummy half Grant. First receiver is Hughes. Liero sprints onto it. Shed to Munster. And now Bloor. Brown gets him. 7 metres shy, left-hand side of the post. Grant all the way across now, back to Josh King. Still 10 away from Newcastle's line. Lasardi to Waitete. Takes on the inside running here, and he's met by Croker. 5 out, right-hand side of the sticks. Couple of plays left this set for Melbourne. Grant finds Hughes again. Sherdy Atoi Kamano bounced off one tackler, put down now 4 metres shy of that northern goal area. As it comes down to Liero from Harry Grant, and Trent Liero slams it down. The build-up was there. The Newcastle defence was lapsing, and the Storm do indeed score. Ryan Hoffman to make it 30 points to 24. Kick to come Storm with 10:40 left in the game.
There's been some great one-on-one tackles from the Newcastle edges and knocking down the opponent and stopping them from getting through the line. That time it was just too close to the line, and Trent Lehera, who I think's been tremendous tonight through the middle, both in attack and defence, getting a well-deserved try, just hitting hard and straight, close to the line, showing some strength, forcing his way through and slamming the ball down.
Just as we saw Jermaine McEwen score his first try of the year. Koza, Trent Lehera on the board for the first time this year as well.
Yes, he's off the nudie run, so he'll be happy with that, Will, the 13. A good crowd considering it's an early match on the Friday and it is a long weekend. 14,268 in the house for a very pleasant evening.
By the way, AFL underway at the MCG next door. Hawthorn 1 point leads the Western Bulldogs 0 in the first quarter there. Here is Suafolongo. Slight angle left-hand side of the post. But he's only 10 metres out, having converted his last couple of attempts. And to make it 32 to 24, pushing that margin beyond 6 points. With 9:20 left in the game. Trent Lehera, his first try of the year. He scored 2 tries last time these sides met in round 19 last year, Hunter Stadium. Folongo makes no mistake directly in front, so it does indeed go beyond a bit of a difference here. So 32-24, Folongo with 4 from 6 so far. Plenty of points scored, Hoffy. Like they met this ground 2 years ago. It was 36-28 that night. Could have something similar here.
It certainly has been, but teams, they've just been going tit for tat. I score, you score. I score, you score. So, look, with 10 minutes to go, the Melbourne Storm need to make sure that they're the next one putting points on the board.
Gear Stewart says, I trust the Storm can roll them up. What is Rowdy Andy says, I have so much going on around me that I can't keep track. Every time I put the phone back in my ear, the score has changed. Now it's come down here from the kickoff.
Yeah, the Melbourne Storm didn't catch on the full and it bounced back. Newcastle have the ball 10 metres out.
10 out from Melbourne's line. Can they respond here? It's Set Royce going their way as well. So Trey Mooney wrapped up. 5 out from Melbourne's line. Dummy half cant off to Croker. Spreads it right here to Brown. And now Gagai to Ponga. Lost his footing again and Munster piles on top of him. There's been a bit of throw between those Queensland teammates tonight.
There's trouble in paradise.
Gagai across left-hand side to ask. I think Koza will ask him about it, I reckon. Sharp back on the inside here now for Dylan Lucas. And he is within 11 metres of that Melbourne Storm line south in Amy Park. So 8.5 left here. Storm by 8 points. Newcastle on the attack. Third tackle of this set. Inside 10. Once more here. And getting up the plate slowly is Jermaine McEwen. Dummy half can. Spins it across to his left now for Dylan Brown. And now Sharp finds Ponga. No options here. So again, he just surrenders in the tackle. 12 out. 20 in the eastern side of the ground. Storm 32. Newcastle 24 the scoreline. Brown back here to Croker. And Croker feeds it back to his captain, Ponga. Kicks off the outside here. Safiti bursts through and scored. But I fancy... Well, it's a fantastic try for Safiti. That looked too easy. Is there obstruction? Surely.
No,
that looked way too easy.
Absolutely nothing was happening. Nothing was happening. He got an offload to Kalen Ponga, and then he just drifted across the line and put a little kick in. And of course, Saifiti's the one chasing the kick. He picks the ball up, steps past Ponga, steps past Falongo. Try time. There it is.
Down at that kickoff, which bounced back in their favour. They got the set from the kickoff here, the Newcastle night, and they take full advantage. And as does Jacob Safiti to score his first try of the year. Ian Cohen touchline.
Yeah, quite amazing because it was almost like play had stopped. Ponga realised, just put it on the boot. Whether Safiti was behind him or not, he certainly arrived very quickly and managed to score. So great result for the Knights.
What a game this has been.
It's tit for tat.
7 minutes left.
I score, you score.
You score, we score, as Andrew Moore likes to point out occasionally as well. Here's Kalen Ponga, 4 from 4 so far tonight. Making a 2-point ball game from directly in front. He does so. So Ponga's now 5 out of 5. It's Melbourne 32. The Newcastle Knights 30 here. NRL Friday on ABC Sport coming your way from a 14,000 strong Amy Park in Melbourne. Goodness me.
This is bizarre. All the Newcastle's tries have come from either outside the 20 or come off a kick. It's really been unusual. Their tries they scored against the Storm tonight.
So, Storm by 2 points, 6:45 left at Amy Park. Great to bring it all to you. Brett Sprigg alongside Ryan Hoffman and Ian Cohen. And we're off to Raiders Roosters next. We were due off there in 5 minutes, so we'll have to change that for the sake of our Melbourne News Radio audience. Waiting on further information for you there. Safidi brings it back from the kickoff. And he'll play it 15 out from his own line at northern end. 6.5 minutes left in the game. Who wants it more? Melbourne haven't won on a Friday night this year. 5 attempts. Newcastle haven't won here in Melbourne for 11 years. So there is Thomas Cant at dummy half. Across now again as Bruni busts his way through. Now tackled 25 out from that northern line. Cant dummy half on play 4 for Newcastle. Across now comes from Sharp to Ponga. He makes the break over halfway and tried to get the pass wide to Lucas, but he took the contact and was chased down by Waitere. 40 out from Melbourne's line. Knights on the attack, second last play. Left to right they go. To McEwen, to Gagai. He takes on Joe Chan and Cameron Munster and will now play at 35 out from that southern line. The Newcastle Knights are on the attack. Melbourne defending. McEwen dummy half. Last play Newcastle. Dylan Brown's kick up in the air it goes. They'll chase it through from both sides. Hunt retrieves it, but he's brought down here for a changeover. Melbourne's ball, 12 out from their own line. Southern end, it's still they by 2 points with 5.5 minutes left.
Yeah, really smart work by Saul Falongo. He was going to fly high for it, but realised he still had quite a bit of space behind him. So he let Fletcher Hunt catch the ball, and then beautiful ball and all tackle.
So they rumble up through here, the Melbourne Storm with a 2-point lead. 32 plays 30. It's Warbrick to Grant, dummy half, 25 out. 5 minutes left in the game here at Amy Park in Melbourne. Great to have your company here on NRL Friday on ABC Sport. Grant across here to Utoika Manu. He bounced off McEwen. Tackled there by Safidi and Brown as well. 35 out. Tackle for Melbourne. Munster on to Sean Bloor. Up that left edge he goes. Croker gets him down low. Gagai up top. Couple of plays left this set here for the Storm. Munster with a little pump fake and now he's brought down by Safidi. 40 out centre field. No penalty forthcoming for the Storm as Hughes on that last play kicks down towards that north-east and batted back by Warbrick. Josh King onto it now, shares it with Hughes, and he pops out the offload back for Waitere. Now Lasardi as well, all the way back for Farlongo. 40 out from that Newcastle line. Chip and chase from the fullback. That guy batted it back there for his fullback, Ponga, and it will be Newcastle's ball. 20 out, 20 in western side.
That was really dangerous. A tip over the top by Farlongo. I reckon Ponga bobbled the ball. I think he did keep it between his legs to stop it from hitting to the ground, but that was dangerous.
Ponga dummy half. Off to Dom Young. He's set up on immediately by Josh King. Play at 25 out. It's play 3 here for Newcastle. Croker to Sharp. And now Ponga finds Hunt up that left edge. He's got some dash on him. Jerome Hughes stops him and Lasardi as well. 40 out, 10 in eastern side. Second last play, Newcastle. 2 points is Melbourne's lead here. Late, St. Amy Park. As Munster comes out of the line there to nail Dylan Brown. 3.5 left in the game. Newcastle's last play. Comes to Fletcher Sharp. He kicks off balance. It's there for Farlongo. 25 out from his own line. Shares it back now for Moses Leo. Harrison Graham lost his footing. He got some space here, Moses Leo. Shares it with Warbrick. And he's now collected by Hunt. And will play it. 35 out, 20 in from the eastern side. Waitere. Into that defensive line now, 40 out centre field. Tackle 3 for the Storm. 32 plays, 30 to score line here at Amy Park. And again, here's Joe Chan, 5 short of the halfway. Tackle 4. Sean Bloor, no real gain for him. Graham was there all over him first of all. Grant dummy half, runs it himself, shares it with Liero. Off to Hughes, left to right shift here. Storm Farlongo to Waitere. Steps on the inside there of Fletcher Hunt. Won't get past Sharp though. 30 out, 10 in eastern side. Last play Melbourne, 2 points their lead. Blindside right they go. Running kick from Jerome Hughes. Up it goes for the corner. Ponga slipped over, gets there eventually though. and will play it 10 out from his own line. Knights back on the attack. Hoffy, Melbourne by 2 points, 2.5 to go.
Yeah, Melbourne Storm would have loved for play to stop there because they were screaming for a challenge of Will Warbrick being taken out. 2 minutes to go. Newcastle going to be looking for Puck, Kalen Ponga. They're going to be spreading the football.
Tackle 3, Brown brought down by Law. Play it there for Graham Nummy half. Scoots away himself. Low pass off to Lucas. Can he produce some magic, Dylan Lucas? Play it here for the Newcastle Knights. 20, make it 30 out from his own line. Croker. Back here it comes from Brown to Ponga. Onto that right edge now for Gagai. And they're all over him. The veteran will play it 30 out. Graham Nummy half. Off to Brown. Shapes the kick. Spins the pass wide. Sharp here to Lucas. Got some dash over halfway. Pass back to Margie. And no, Margie couldn't control it. It's an awkward pass. And he's lost over the eastern touchline with 90 seconds left. The Storm by 2 points here. Back to the touchline. Ian Cohen.
Well, you look at Furlongo, he's not wearing the headgear in the second half again, but long term, is he the kicking option? He's auditioning for next year, you would have thought, with Nick Meaney obviously moving on from the club.
He missed a couple of conversions earlier, and of course the Storm leads by just the 2 points. It's their ball though. 80 seconds left in the game. Sean Bloor controls it over the halfway line. 20 in from the western side. Storm 32, Newcastle 30 the scoreline. Josh King now taken 40 out from that northern line. Back to Munster. And Munster collected as well. 33 metres out from that northern line. Storm just about seeing things through here. 57 seconds left. Tackle for Melbourne. The Knights should get one last set. There's from Nummy half Grant. Sweep off the deck cleanly for him. Gains a quick 10 more metres. It will be last play Storm. 10 away from Newcastle's line. Can they ice the game here, the Storm? Lead by 2 points. 38 seconds left. Grant slow getting up. Play it for Munster. And Munster takes the tackle for a changeover. I'll have to go 95 metres, the Newcastle Knights. He'll be with 28 seconds left.
Yeah, Newcastle has scored some long-range tries already. They're going to be spreading them wide. Kalen Ponga's already gone out to the left. They want to test the Melbourne Storm right edge.
The leaders swung plenty of times. 5 times in this game. Right to left they go. Ponga brought down by Hughes. 20 seconds left. He's 20 out from his own line. Can they find the break somewhere? Hunt goes himself from dummy half. Gains 10 more. Offloads to Ponga. Shifted across here. Involved is Gagai. He kicks. Picked off by Josh King. King lost the footy somehow. It's cast on by Dom Young. Will come back here. Ash Klein saying it was firstly Newcastle, which will give possession and game to Melbourne. They hang on to win by 2 points. 32 points to 30 here at Amy Park for their first victory on a Friday night in season 26.
We had a Hail Mary challenge, I think, from Newcastle.
Let's have a listen. Challenging that knock-on decision to see if they can salvage something from these dying stages.
I don't think it'll matter because even if it is knock-on, time still.
Gagai plays the ball in a slapping motion in a one-on-one strip, playing on with the knock on Newcastle. Josh King now knocks on second. The cut the charge is unsuccessful.
Nothing full time. And the Storm will hang on here to win. 6 tries to 5. The lead did swing 5 times in the game, and Newcastle challenged them. Alas, they fall short here. Do you have your 3 best, or we
Yeah, no, I can get to my 3 best. 3 points goes to Cameron Munster. He was in absolutely everything. 2 points, Kalen Ponga. He did his best to rescue a victory for his team. And 1 point has to go to Harry Grant. His off-the-ball efforts were absolutely tremendous.
So 3 for Munster, 2 for Ponga, and 1 to Harry Grant. Ryan Hoffman's 3 best in the ABC Player of the Year. It was try scorers. You took Kamano, Watere, Warbrick, Hughes, Leo, and Liero for the Melbourne Storm. While those 5 try scorers for the Newcastle Knights: Sharp, Lucas, Brown, McEwen, and Safiti. Both teams have a bye next week. The Storm host Canberra here in round 16. The Knights have the bye, then host the Dragons on the Friday night in round 16. Rightio, full-time score here: Melbourne 32, Newcastle 30. Let's head off to Canberra Stadium for the Raiders and the Roosters. Andrew Morgans, good evening to you.
Brett Sprigg, thank you very much. Thank you, Hoffy. Thank you, Ian Cohen. We'll bring you some post-game reaction in our post-game show here between 10 and 10:30 tonight. We are at beautiful, balmy Canberra Stadium for the game between Canberra and the Sydney Roosters. Should be a beauty. Canberra's done really well against the Roosters in recent years, and they're just looking to get their season on track. They've won 5 and lost 7. They're in 12th position. The Roosters sitting inside the top 4. Currently 4.9 degrees. Feels like 1. Alan Tongue,